Valentine's Day here. White Day here. God damn it. When will this end? I had to admit I don't really mind. This is the life that I have chosen, I suppose. It is Saturday once again. And it feels kinda strange. After all, last Saturday was not News Day. That was on Thursday. It's been more than a week, so a lot of things happened, I guess. Maybe not a lot, but some did. And I have to admit, some of them have been absolutely hilarious. I love this strange place known as the internet sometimes. Only sometimes. It can be really strange. It can be really unfun. Oh, Ming, oh, Ming, oh, Ming. Okay, let's make sure I have everything in its correct placement. So we can just go into it. That should be a good idea. Hold up. Is this correct? I guess it may be. I've seen recently that Twitch seems to be choking a little bit too. Shouldn't be surprised. But it is still annoying, as you might expect. How much you can do about that? I was about to say, hey, we should get some music running. Actually, no. The first thing we have for today is a clip. It's a hilarious clip. And it's Twitter, so of course, the volume's all over the place. Thank you so much, Elon. Thank you for nothing. It's not nothing, but come on. Come on. It's been a disaster for far too long. Also, I don't know if the cropping is gonna be okay, because I didn't fix it last time, so I couldn't just Control-C and I think it's mostly okay. I think it's mostly normal. I might need to move it. I probably gonna sneeze. Maybe not. You son of a gun. Of course I did. That one is for free, okay? That one is for free. So why don't we start this strange Saturday with a beautiful crash out. Ow, god damn it. What's wrong with me? A beautiful crash out. Oh boy. What the hell is that? What even is all that? I can see here. The habit with the Hassan dog. What's going on here? Well, something really hilarious with a massive amount of cope. We have a clip. Hassan Rats. Oi, 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 oi. What are you doing? Where's this autoplay now? I opened this like 30 minutes ago. What's wrong with you? Hassan Rats to finding out about Peeper. Goes dismissing it as not a sincere request. So there's this guy, John Kiriakou, which apparently people loves a lot. He finds the guy to be really funny. And the edits are pretty hilarious. This guy is a federal whistleblower. The stuff he says is probably really interesting. I don't know too much about the guy. And Hassan, well, I guess I can just play the clip. That's probably good enough. Do I make it big? It's gonna be crowd like all hell. Everything is fine.
Your interview with John was canceled because a VTuber told him not to. There's a video of it.
Can we get better quality in videos?
It's probably someone taking credit for it. But
the cope is insane.
It was Pippa. Who is Pippa? Pippin Pika, I believe. Who the fuck is that?
Pika? It's Pikachu! I don't think so. Can we get this with higher quality? Now the best we get is 360. So we're going back to 2010 or 2008 maybe.
The reason his interview was canceled with John Kiriakou.
It's a clip within a clip. Bear with me, please.
Hi, Pippa. Okay, can you hear it?
Beep, 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 beep. Or if you didn't get it, beep, 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 beep.
That's just a cameo. That doesn't actually.
Just watch the clip, bro. It's not that difficult. Just watch the clip. You're known for reacting slopper. Please, just watch the clip and shut up. Ah, this guy makes me nuts.
Asmongold Orbiter.
Holy. Well, who is this? I don't know. She seems to be evil. Okay, alright, pal, whatever you say.
No, this is a cameo, guys. Are you fucking stupid enough to believe that this was like a sincere request?
No, pal. You are the stupid guy because you're not watching the clip.
No, people are. I don't think that's the case.
Or beep, 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 beep.
Yes, okay.
Hey, thanks for the heads up on HP. I appreciate it. I needed it, and I will take care of it. So,
I asked him not to collab with Hassan Piker. He's going on Hassan's stream.
Well, not anymore. Oh boy, she has an insane power level. This is the kind of nonchalant attitude I strive for, okay?
Are people
I
that
forget
stupid?
what exactly I wrote. Somebody can bring up the vibe, but
She
I,
is evil,
Zach said
Charlie.
he's gonna go on Twitter and DM John yesterday for an interview to get one up on you. No, she was on call with him. This is a cameo, guys. I mean, maybe she actually did a call with him or something, but also none of this matters. Like, who gives a fuck if I can't fucking interview John Kiriakou? Who cares?
Who cares? He says, will he start swearing like a sailor? Are you copying a little bit too much here? HP!
requested this false playing Overwatch, and there was only like 2 requests left, so I like very quickly wrote something, and I was like, by the way, please don't collab with Hassan.
time to even say something. Tell you the truth, the last 3 weeks I've been winging it. So, I'm very grateful for the helping hand. All right, all the best. Thanks for reaching out. Bye.
Beautiful.
I don't think it's like that. He said yesterday there is still something happening in April.
I don't know about that. I have no idea. Actually, no idea. But maybe that shouldn't be the case.
Wait, but it wasn't canceled. He said yesterday there will be something in April. Yeah, we are directly in contact with John. That's why I was kind of confused as to his response initially.
You might be in direct contact. But are you as powerful as a pink rabbit? I don't think so, pal.
I didn't understand it. I'm a fan. I like his background. I like the way he communicates. I like a lot of his opinions in general. So I was definitely confused. He's done stuff with the Young Turks back in the day as a whistleblower initially. And I think these guys they get off.
I just saw something here in his chat. It's hilarious. It's really hard to read here. It also the problem doesn't help. This guy is saying, "VTuber loser Lemao." I don't think you're actually making a case. Who's the biggest loser here, pal? I don't know. I don't think it's the Pipkin.
They get off on trying to like secure these kinds of like weird victories for themselves, but I don't. Yeah, I think they're just doing Clout Goblin shit for the most part, and that.
Cloud Goblin shit. Well, says the Cloud Roach, huh? Isn't that funny?
That's it. I don't know why people are so. I guess they're so excited at the prospect of like fucking up an interview, but like I interview people all the time, right?
No, guy, it's because people hate you because you're an annoying piece of shit. It's just that simple. And every single time something like this happens, I don't know why, but the screen capture just messes up here. I don't know why. What have I done to deserve this? I don't know. It's fixed. I think so. I'm not sure. Hold up. Is it fixed? Yeah, I think it's fixed. It looks better, at least on my part. Look, this is just called we do a little bit of trolling. It's not that deep, but I do think it's hilarious. Now we can get some music running. I don't think we have more clips. I'm not into the reactor slopper really. I know some people like it. I also understand that, hey, it's easy content. Cannot blame the people when they do it. Autumn playlist. Sure, it's March. Close enough. This thing is used. They always start with Eternal Forest, don't they? Are all of these always the same? They could be. They might as well be. Sam Piker. What a hilarious guy. And there's something he mentioned at some point. Kinda pissed me off. Because it's not fair. He said something about... I don't know if he said it himself or anything like that. But the implications of the Color Gate are an absolute disaster. Of course, this guy became really famous for being the... Some people call him Sam Piker, the dog striker. It's a cool name. He's the dog shocker, though. I think he actually hits the dog, but I wouldn't know. Because that actually takes away from fair criticism from the guy. Sure, shocking your dog is bad. Whoa. What a hot take, I know. But the guy is a terrorist apologist. This guy has been promoting violence against politicians at least on 2 different times. And he's still there. Sure, funny haha kaya memes. What about the actual important stuff? Not to say that the dog is not important, but... shocking the dog, I think it's less important than telling people to kill politicians, active politicians in the US. Kinda pisses me off. This guy pisses me off a lot. Recently, apparently, this guy was directly attacking a vet, not a veterinarian, but a veteran from the army. We'll be lucky if we see this guy being suspended tomorrow, as we all know. As God intended, this guy doesn't stream on Sundays, apparently. The rest day. That's against TOS. I'm sick and tired of this absolute fucking clown always breaking TOS constantly on Twitch. And he just gets scot-free. And you know exactly why that happens. Because the people, the higher-ups at Twitch, just agree with this guy. So they will never enforce the rules evenly. But then, oh, God forbid, you might say something a little bit spicy, you might say something that's factually true and correct, you're getting banned. For how long? I don't know. What about a week? What about a month for showing VTuber feet? I'm still not over that, okay? And I'm not a Shondo fan, but that was absolute bullshit. Oh, you cannot do that. Dude, that's just feet. That says more about you than me, or Shondo, or anybody else. Ah, these people piss me off to no end, pal. Holy moly. You wanna stay up? Properly awake? Just see these people and their nonsense. Oh, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. What else do we have here? This is pretty much the only streamer-related thing we have for today. I guess we can check here a little bit. First getting mobbed by a peanut, then a rabbit. Total victory, retreat over Piker. I mean, I don't know about the peanut guy. Just pretend the dog is a sang. Shock my roach. I can't stop. Yeah, I don't wanna scroll too much because it's Twitter, and we all know that Twitter gets really spicy really fast. Who is it? Can't see if it was someone small enough to brigade. I don't know if that's the case. It could be that. I don't think that people's quote-unquote small enough to be brigaded by somebody like Hassan Piker. But then again, she's in a company. Do you want to text somebody in a company? Roach boy? It seems like a bad idea. Maybe you shouldn't. The guy might be more cautious than I thought. Here's the thing, you can't dispute him. You care, Hassan. You care a lot, actually. You can tell he cares. His demeanor completely changes. Who cares? Who the fuck cares if you're gonna do a fucking interview? You said that, pal. Because you were mad. Why are you mad? It's only a game. You don't have to be mad. Well, I would say this is a little bit more than a game. It's high roll trolling. But he is clearly mad. Are you mad? You cannot redeem. I don't have any victories, as the bowling isn't finding its own merit. True. I love his pretending not to know people because even he knows that's not a nest he wants to kick. You cannot win against the Yabbit, okay? She is too powerful. Get destroyed. Hilarious. And of course she had this edit. Now music. I don't want to get destroyed. Young Kiraku, my beloved. He has a really specific face. Rather unique. Not saying the guy is ugly or anything, but he looks rather distinct. Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. As some people have said, be paid to certain control. You love to see it. But there are things you may not love to see, which is a data answering why, I suppose. Or maybe you love to see it, because some companies are just stupid. So we have here this tweet from cheaper reviews. Crunchyroll may be dying as a company. Couldn't happen soon enough. I still remember, okay? Crunchyroll games completely destroying Princess Connect. It was a money-making machine, and you killed it. How is that possible? It takes a special skill to do something like that. But then again, it's Crunchyroll, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. We'll never forget, we'll never forgive. Remote Straight Tier for anime fans. Month later, they raise prices. Well, this is a classic, right? Didn't Netflix do something similar to this? Constant crashes and subtitle issues. I didn't save any of them, but holy shit, the subtitles this season, guys, absolutely insane. I've seen, maybe not so much subtitles, but dubs, but I guess it's not Crunchyroll directly, but I might be related to some extent, so maybe I'm actually misspeaking here. I've seen so many mentions of childs, which doesn't make any sense. I'm such a fat fucking child. Well, what about the child? Just a normal child with an A, not with an U. I guess that might be too much for these same creatures. Subtitles are also pretty strange. I've complained, I don't know if that's Crunchyroll or not, but I've also complained about the subtitles in Digimon Beat Break. I understand that supposedly the Digimon don't have genders. Why do you have to use they? Just use it. It's okay. It's fine. You can use it because it's a computer program of sorts. But they use they, and they use it all the time, and it's just really jarring because you kind of lose the context really fast. There's actually lost fight against them. Now, mass layoffs of employees. Well, mass layoffs be happening non-stop in different companies. But Glass actually lost fight against them? What is going on here? I actually don't know about this. But I think it's a little bit interesting, a little bit dangerous. I need to move my window a little bit. Because this is Anime News Network. So everything's just to the left. So here we have class action lawsuit against Crunchyroll is disclosure of user information to third-party analytics company Braze. I think this is a English thing. I think this is actually within R, not Blaze. Not Blaze it, even. It keeps happening. I'm not really surprised something like this is happening, but it's really disheartening. I'm getting kind of sick of this fucking bullshit. It's absolutely endless, and it makes me mad. Once again. Number of plaintiffs filed a consumer digital privacy class action complaint against Crunchyroll on March 3rd. Speaking of people. The complaint alleges that Crunchyroll violated the Video Privacy Protection Act, VPPA. Plaintiffs Francisco Cabonius, minor JT, I don't know what that means. I was about to say junior attorney, but attorney starts with an A, not with a D. It's legalese, get a little bit lost sometimes. Minor JT filing the action through Guardian Oscar Torno, Anthony Gonzalez, Matthew Newton, and Alicia Taylor. I'm saying Alicia because of Species 33. It's Alicia, right? Because it's in English, not in French. Too many languages for my brain, please understand. Our legend and Crunchyroll knowingly disclosed users' personally identifiable information concerning their video viewing activity on the company's application to the third-party marketing Netherlands company Brace Inc. We've been seeing stuff like this happening non-stop for the past, what, year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe even more. And it's not stopping. Because nothing ever happens against these people. And if something happens, I bet it's actually not a big enough of a punishment for them to stop. It's so obnoxious. You're supposed to have a bunch of laws to protect your privacy and your information. Not talking just about data protection in the EU. We all know that's a massive fucking joke. But once again, these laws, I guess they only affect those who live in them. Because it keeps happening and I don't see enough of punishment. I'm sick of this. Kind of a spoiler, we have some more stuff on that later. But I kind of want to go a little bit in order. Not that everything here is related, but I have kind of my system. Please understand. According to the complaint, Crunchyroll transmits users' email addresses, present device identifiers, device ID, and tells us the specific video content they watch to browse. The complaint notes that several titles hosted on Crunchyroll include sensitive content that is mature, violent, explicit, and sexually suggestive material. The complaint specifically names Tales of Golden Rings as an example. I didn't watch this one, but it is my understanding it's supposed to be pretty good. I don't think it's that suggestive, but I wouldn't know. It features sexually suggestive material. I guess it does. Also, why do you have a period here? But then you don't capitalize properly. Shouldn't this be a common thing? How do I know more about the English language, huh? The complaint is demanding statutory damages of 2,500 USD per violation, plus attorney's fees and costs. I mean, I think this is always the case, but sure. As redress on behalf of themselves and others who are similarly injured by Crunchyroll's unlawful conduct. I'm gonna be real. 2,500 is pretty much nothing. It's just pennies. I'm assuming they get much more than that. This is being kind of a problem for a long time. Okay, I commit a crime, but the punishment is actually lower than the benefit. So it really is just a small fee. So why wouldn't you do it? Because you have morals, but they are companies, they don't have morals. They just want the money. Or something that gives them more power. Nothing new, really. Brace Inc. was formerly known as AppBoy Inc. AppBoy? What a strange name. It's a marketing, automation, and customer engagement platform. The company provides its clients with a software development kit, SDK, that can be embedded into mobile applications such as that of Crunchyroll. Maybe this is just an issue of workers being completely useless. Kind of reminds me of the thing we read the other day for Discord. They're apparently sending too much information with that ARC Raiders kind of implementation. So you might be implementing something with the SDK, and sure, it might do the thing you want to do, but it's clearly not doing just that in some cases. So that's a skill issue, but now you're legally liable you should be careful with that. The complaint alleges that Crunchyroll embedded the Brace SDK into the tab on an unknown date, but alleged since 2022. Data collected through the Brace SDK enables its clients to target customers with personalized marketing communication through push notifications, in-app messages, and email campaigns. I mean, sure, that's probably why they implemented it, but you don't know what it's doing on the background. You need to be really skilled when you deal with the sticker stuff. Ask me how I know. The Brace SDK transmits personal viewing information to Brace in a manner that identifies the specific user and specific video content they are watching. The complaint includes samples of such transmissions. Picture below. Kind of small. Can I make this bigger? Not really. What is this? A screenshot for ants? I cannot read that. But I guess they have entering a new chapter. Luffy and Zero's bands. One Piece. Egghead Island. 1009? I'm not sure. It's a little bit too small. And I understand that getting this information could be important for their service, but if it's not disclosed, it is a privacy issue. It is a problem. Which is not surprising. Then again, there's always the possible allegations here of, well, it was really easy for them to sell your data or your information. Because ads. You don't hate ads enough. You think you do, but I don't think so. According to the complaint, Crunchyroll configured the Brace SDK specifically to enable Brace to connect users' identities through viewing behavior. Well, I don't know about that, but if they actually do, you can say, oh, I didn't know this was happening. Well, you did that. Specifically. How curious. It alleges that Crunchyroll is aware that Brace receives and connects both identifying information, email address and device ID, excuse me, and personal viewing information, video titles and device ID. Because Crunchyroll uses Brace services to send targeted push notifications and marketing messages to specific users based on their specific viewing history. According to the VPPA, a company must acquire informed, written consent to disclose such information to a third-party company. It does begs the question a little bit. If they can do it through this SDK, that means that the SDK allows something like that. Despite not being lawful, maybe they're assuming the company that's using this development kit got informed written consent. But it sounds a little bit suspicious to me. There's also the case of, well, maybe they added that in the TOS and they didn't tell anybody. Some websites and some platforms do that. I do think that's really heinous, and that probably should be punished too. For far too long that's been happening. And to be fair, TOSs and user agreements are extremely long and people do not read them. I know you don't, and no, I don't, so we could be fucked royally. In 2022, class action lawsuit against Crunchyroll also led to the violation of the VPPA, forcing Facebook Pixel to share users' video viewing information with third-party company Facebook. Crunchyroll settled the lawsuit for 60 million USD and agreed to modify its use of tracking technologies to prevent disclosure of users' video viewing information without VPPA complaint consent in September 2023. So 16 million is nothing, and sure, they agreed to modify, but they didn't do anything. Maybe they did with just the Facebook Pixel, but not with the Brace stuff. It's hard to tell if they are lazy, incompetent, or evil. I'm assuming it's just a combination of the three. Crunchyroll is an independently operated joint venture between US-based Sony Pictures Entertainment and Japan's Aniplex. Sony Pictures Entertainment and Aniplex's Sony Music Entertainment Japan parents are both in turn subsidiaries of Tokyo-based Sony Group. Not a big fan of Sony, they have been doing really strange stuff in general, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was done on purpose. Knowingly, it was unlawful. I obviously cannot confirm that, but I think it's believable enough. The Animation Global Group completed the second case of Crunchyroll from AT&T on August 9th, 2021, As the company first announced the acquisition in December 2020. The purchase price was I'm assuming it's 1.175 billion USD, and at 1,000 billion, that would be a trillion, right? It's not that expensive. And the proceeds were paid in cash at the closing. Fan missions and video releases are now listed under Crunchyroll. I do remember some stuff about them potentially being sued for monopoly. Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe they have a strong enough of a case, which, I mean, that can happen, and there's nothing you can do about that. But it is still centralized in the West. We've read about this, and we've complained about this a lot. And look, if the company falls, it'd be beautiful. I don't think it will happen. I think there's a little bit of copium from Chibi. After all, it belongs to Sony. Sony is a mega company, which is not dying anytime soon. What about this? Don't forget the shooting English dubs. Ah, yeah, hell yeah. That means dropping and damn like a total child pains me, but I can't help overhearing. I'm such a child, I'm just literally the same, right? Disgusting. Some people in the replies say, I got a line that's kind of deserved for watching dub. Maybe that is true. Maybe that is true. Never will learn. The usual quote from Gabe. Makes sense. Always a service issue. What do we have here? It's not anime, but I guess it's close enough. It's about Japanese games, so... I also got in trouble here. Making... Load this bank. Before I forget. Nagashi Studio reportedly facing closure after NetEase pulls Gang of Dragon funding. It's a little bit painful because a lot of people were waiting for this game, has a lot of expectations. Nagashi is first big project after leaving Sega and Ryuga Gotoku Studio. And this thing had a very impressive trailer in the Game Awards, but then again, also did High Guard to some extent, and that game is already dead. I don't think it's the same, absolutely not. I think it's illustrator Toshihiro Nagoshi, and it's Gang of Dragon just 3 months ago. I think the guy is Korean, but who cares? Like, we don't have no Koreans in the Yakuza games, right? Or Chinese. Both are correct. The studio funded by Yakuza series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi is reportedly facing closure after publisher NetEase indicated that it will pull funding for its debut title. Feels like a massive mistake because the amount of money they're asking is not that high in comparison to other games. Wow, 400 million for a massive flop. Well, this guy is asking not even 50 million. Still a lot of money, but for these companies it should be manageable. According to Bloomberg, employees of Nagashi Studio were told on Friday that NetEase intends to cut out funding for Gang of Dragon, which was announced at the Game Awards just 3 months ago, this coming May. Maybe not anymore. NetEase allegedly made the decision after discovering that the project needed an additional 7 billion yen, which is about 44.4 million USD, in funding to reach completion. I guess we don't know how much they funded already, so it could be a breaking amount for them. Nagashi is said to be seeking additional funding to continue developing the project, but has had no success so far. The NetEase and Nagashi Studio has responded to the claims. It is also my understanding, but I could be completely wrong, that Nagashi Studio is related to some extent to Tencent. Tencent was a little bit scary, but they do have a lot of money, so getting funding from them should be very easy. Well, maybe not very, but it should be more than doable. Maybe not. We'll see what happens with that then. If they're having this kind of trouble, at least. Gang of Dragon was announced in December and said to be deep into development. This game stars prolific South Korean American actor Madong Siak. Madong! What kind of name is this, please? What a fucking joke. Best known for his performance in Train to Busan, The Outlaws, and Marvel's Eternals. don't think I've seen any of those. This guy's an absolute unit, though. In English Studio's first Western interview in 2023, English told VGC that he would not let down fans of his previous games and would ensure they would be happy with his new studio's debut game. English Studio's travels are the latest in a long line of headlines following NetEase's decision to significantly scale back its international game development operations, following years of investment in new studios around the world. Yeah, but I don't think this is a good example of things you should be doing. What kind of game NetEase? The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember what kind of games they actually made or published. The firm has caused chaos across its international operations, with several studios being forced to close, and others seeking new funding. In addition to the initial closure of T-, FPC, and Bad Brain, and its split from Vancouver-based Worlds Untold, studio it founded with Mass Effect writer Mark Walters in 2023, as well as Seattle-based Jar of Sparks, the studio founded in 2022 by Xbox veteran Jerry Hook. Arca Studio, the Tokyo-based developer behind Square Enix's Visions of Mana, was also closed in 2024. Other Japanese studios like Guichi Suda's Grasshopper manufacturer and Resident Evil producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi's JP Track 50 have pushed ahead with release plans without NetEase's continued support. It's kinda fucked though. They have license for that article, but I'd like to point out a free license every human being has, but don't use adequately or smartly enough. The license to fuck off. Hey, I do like the license. I don't think they have that one in the UK though. Hashtag spoiler alert. So, NetEase. Tell me, sure, from Wikipedia. What kind of games do you guys have here? Apparently Chinese company, so I guess I was a little bit misguided when I said Tencent. Let's see, what do you have here? Stuff that I actually know. Wow, Marvel Rivals. Upgrades the Chinese versions of World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, and Overwatch. Okay. Let's see the list. Revelation Online. Sounds familiar. I don't know anything about it though. Oh. Oh, that's strange. Entering the iOS ports of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. That's surprising to me. Maybe that's why it seemed familiar to me. Naraka Blade Point. Guess that makes sense. Diablo Immortal. Sure. I see a bunch of fun slap here. That's a bit weird. Tom and Jerry Chase. Nah, that is unexpected. Also Nanta. That's probably why. Game development still under NetEase, aside from Nagoshi. They have JP Track 50, One Take Dream. Yeah, most of these I don't really know. Huh? I know I'm not showing this on the screen, but this is really strange. For some reason, the last part in the Wikipedia article is pig farming. In 2009, NetEase founder Ding Lei announced his intention to modernize pig farming in China. The company's agricultural affiliate, Weiyang, set up a pig farm in Anji County, Fuzhou, Zhejiang Province in 2011. The state-of-the-art facility included tracking sensors, data analysis, soothing music, artificial intelligence, and Wi-Fi. The public could also track the pigs online. Huh? Okay, that's not what I was expecting from a game company. Please insert pig eating in his slab meme image here. That's kinda wild. What the hell? Okay, alright, sure. Time to eat the pigs, I suppose. That's kind of strange. That was really unexpected. I guess for them, Japanese company would be, of course, international, but I don't know. I don't think this would be a mistake of a game. I don't think this game is gonna be maybe not really popular, but it's probably gonna make its money back and then some more. I think it makes sense, especially when you see the Yakuza fans being really disenfranchised with the Yakuza games themselves recently. I mean, I've criticized Yakuza 3 Kiwami, or Kiwami 3, more properly, several times because why don't you have proper facial animations? It doesn't make any sense. Also, why did they change, fuck, what's the guy's name? The lieutenant from the GQ family? Don't remember. That guy. Completely different guy. You can see some of the images for the GQ part of the game. It's so oversaturated it looks like Candyland. It's so strange. Then again, we don't know how much they defunded already. But really? Do you really think this is too much? And I'm assuming that this company has some partners. Maybe they don't. I have no idea. But seeing this pains me a little bit. I was not going to buy this on release, but I was really curious about it. Especially when you see the first screen in the teasers and you're like, oh, Kamurocho! I know that place! I've been there before! Oh boy. Speaking of game companies and money problems, it keeps happening. Valve has been in trouble for far too long recently. Many lawsuits happening here all at once. That's what happens when you win against the Rothschilds, I suppose. Now apparently they're being sued, I think by the UK. I think the UK has bigger problems than this, but hey, what do I know? Valve said there was Steam music used tied to Grand Theft Auto and other major franchises. And it's not Valve's fault, actually. They're just a storefront. You should take these issues with the actual publishers, not Steam. Valve's facing another legal challenge! This time over how music is licensed on its Steam platform. I don't think music is actually licensed on your Steam, but I actually don't know how it works, legally speaking. Parents for Music has initiated legal proceedings against Valve Corporation in the UK, alleging that musical works represented by its members have been made available on Steam without the appropriate license. Oh, I might license! See what I mean? The Collective Society confirmed the issue in a statement shared with Billboard UK. You don't want to be in ass with licensing. I guess they want to, because, hey, you need a license for this, so you need to pay. Where's my money? Where's my money, pal? Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's not my fault. It's the game's fault. What? Some games have been delisted because of licensing stuff with music, by the way. Not just music, but I think music is the most well-known cases. Are the most well-known cases. The case follows years of attempted negotiations with the organizations. According to the PRS, which claims Valve has never obtained a license covering the musical works of songwriters, composers, and music publishers since Steam launched in 2003. But I don't think this involves issue. If I'm in game storefront, if I sell a game like GTA in this case, and there's a problem with the music, it's a problem with the game. How is that my fault? It shouldn't be. It should be the game makers that should get the license, right? I don't think I'm insane when you say stuff like this. But then we get into the legal stuff that's really annoying. I get it. I truly get it. And it's a pain in the ass. And we usually get lost easily within these legal findings. Here's for music claims Steam hosts unlicensed musical works. It's not really a musical work. I don't think you can... Well, I guess you can, but I don't think this is the actual issue that's happening. Yes, there's actual music hosted on Steam, because you could buy game OSTs, for example. I think you can do that for Expedition 33. But that's not their complaint, I don't think. I think it has to do with the music in the games. Then again, it's not Valve that releases the soundtrack as a product, it's just on their storefront. So I'm assuming there's a lot of room for debate here, at the very least. Steam is primarily known as a digital storefront where users buy and download video games. The platform also sells other digital content, including video game soundtracks. Hey, that's pretty rad, by the way. Heroes for Music says that was distributed on Steam. Feature music written by its members, including main franchises such as EA Sports FC, Forza Horizon, and GTA. Okay. Developers and publishers typically obtain synchronization licenses, allowing music to be embedded within a game during production. However, under UK copyright law, those agreements generally apply only to the initial use of the music inside the game itself. Okay. Developers and publishers. Steam is not a developer and a publisher for any of these games. Steam is just a storefront. It's not the same. Sure, it's on Steam, therefore Steam bad. Well, no. If I sold... I guess it might be a bad example. Because it's probably covered in the confines of the law, but... My example was going to be something along the lines of... If I sell you something, like jewels, and they're stolen jewels, and the police catch you, is it your fault? Did you steal them? No, you didn't. How's that your fault? You were deceived. You would be also a victim in that, not a co-conspirator. When the game is later distributed to digital download platforms, a separate communication to the public right may apply. In the UK, that right is administered by PRS for Music. Meaning platform operators such as Valve are expected to obtain their own license. PRS alleges Valve has not done so. Oh, so this is just the UK being stupid. So, if you want to have licensed music in GTA, and you want to sell the game, you need like 3 or 4 different licenses. Oi might license. It's a meme for a reason, it's really real. I don't think this makes any sense. I know that sure, it's the legal way of doing things. It's just stupid. It's just... You need yet another license for yet another step in the process of buying or selling a fucking game. Instead, PRS Music Chief Commercial Officer Dan Gopal said, "Our members create music that enhances experiences, and PRS exists to protect the value of their work with integrity, transparency, and fairness. Legal proceedings are not steps we take lightly, but when in business actions undermine those principles, we have a duty to act. In Call of Duty to act, maybe? And video games rely on great soundtracks, and the songwriters and creators behind them deserve to have their contributions recognized and fairly valued." You think this is not happening, you absolute fucking idiot? I don't think it's happening, and I don't think people love video game music. I don't know if these games are the best example of something like that, but people love video game music. And what happens with some video games, I was thinking more like JRPGs in this case, right? I'm not hiding myself. Is that the music makers work directly for the game company. Therefore, everything is just under the umbrella of we're making a game. It's everything there. If anything, this is just the beautiful case that tells you, you know what, maybe you shouldn't rely on other musicians and you should hire your own musicians for your for your game company. It's gonna be less of a headache because you need to get not only the usual contracts for those people, but you need to get a license for that, to make the game, to publish it, and now Steam, in the UK at least, needs a third license to actually sell the game, despite already the game having more than enough licenses to actually have the music in game. It's too much. I'm sick. This is just an additional tax, because this is the UK. Where is my money? Stop wasting money! That's the issue, stop wasting money! PRS for Music said the case will proceed unless Valve enters negotiations and agrees to a license covering both historic and future uses of music written by its members on Steam. Sorry to tell you this, but the UK is a small place. So you might not have the bargaining chip you think you have. I do think they're gonna cave to some extent, or find a proper resolution instead of saying, you know what, fuck you, Britpunks. But it could happen. After all, they have really draconian laws, especially recently. The last was right shortly after Valve was hit with an illegal complaint in the US. The United States is not the same as the United Kingdom. Are they actually united? I hope so. Earlier this year, the state of New York, a law firm, Higgins Berman, filed the case on behalf of 2 players and proposed a nationwide class of consumers of the loot box system used in Counter-Strike 2. We were right about this. They were lying through their teeth too, by the way. And it's really funny, because if this lawsuit would go forward, they will need to outlaw completely such businesses like trading card games. I'm not even joking. Because it could be seen as gambling. I don't know if that is true or not, but that's a little bit weird. Well, just bang everything, and no crimes will be committed, right? Isn't that how it works? That'd be funny. I'm pretty tired of this kind of lawfare bullshit. Not gonna lie. Okay, what do we have here? We have some more strange stuff with games, I do believe. What is this one? Oh boy, yeah, that one. That one is funny. I don't blow my nose. It's a little bit stuffy after sneezing in the beginning. I think it made it worse. Well, we'll see what happens with that. I take a sip of my water here. So in other strange gaming news, scientists teach human brain cells to play Doom on sci-fi-like experiment. For some reason, you feel some kinship with this experiment. I guess my brain also plays Doom a little bit too much, but maybe it's just real life. Scientists have trained a computer made from living human neurons to play the classic video game Doom, marking a strange but important step forward in biological computing. Wasn't there... Isn't this literally a Stone Toss comic? Now that I think about it, I think that is correct. A lab of roughly 200,000 living human brain cells has learned to play the classic first-person shooter Doom in a new experiment that sounds like something pulled straight from a science fiction film. But it's very real. First thing we did with human cells, make it play Doom. Nothing has changed. It's kind of hilarious to say the least. Researchers at Australian biotech startup Cortical Labs demonstrating how a culture of human brain cells grown on a silicon chip can interact with the video game environment and generating game actions such as moving, turning, and firing weapons. Okay, but is this an epic gamer or not? I must know. Right now, the cells play a lot like a beginner who's never seen a computer. I mean, for 200,000 cells, probably good, right? I've seen actual humans being worse than that. In other words, a small cluster of human brain cells is now wandering the corridors of Doom, trying to survive. This is around on a platform called the CL1, a biological computer designed to keep living neurons alive, while allowing software to stimulate and record their electrical activity in real time. During the demonstration, signals from the game world were converted into electrical patterns sent into the neurons. The responses were then translated into commands controlling the game's character. I mean, how else are you gonna do it, right? It seems more simple than you would think it is, but it's actually kind of complex. still. The result is a primitive player that behaves a bit like someone who has never touched a keyboard before. They do not spin in circles, wander through levels, and die quickly. But they also show sense of learning. It makes sense because it's a human brain, but it's really scary, because it's not an actual human brain. When I talk about human power and human potential, I don't mean this. I kinda mean the other side of the coin. And that's really scary. A human brain cells can play a video game, so they seal one device. Neurons grow in a microelectrode array, a chip covered with tiny electrodes that can both stimulate and record the electrical spikes neurons use to communicate. Researchers essentially built a translation layer between two very different systems. A digital environment of a video game, and the electrical signaling language of neurons. I mean, of course you need some sort of interface for both to communicate, right? It's not like you achieved... how do they call it again? It has a specific name. It is... Singularity, maybe? I think if I just say the singularity, people will understand, so I'm gonna go with that one. It's not as cool, but maybe a little bit less demonic, maybe. Which is probably for the best. I'm aware when PC technological strides like this. An enemy appears on one side of the screen in Doom, the system sends electrical stimulation to electrodes corresponding to that direction. The neurons react by firing electrical spikes, which are then interpreted as actions inside the game. Different spike patterns correspond to different commands. One pattern might mean move right, another might mean fire a weapon. The neural culture, therefore, becomes a biological control for the game. From Pong to Doom. That could be also real life. Why do I find this so funny? Doom experiment builds an earlier work in which neurons were trained to play the arcade game Pong. The neurons' ability to play Doom demonstrates the flexibility of biocomputation. The earlier system, known as Dish Brain, showed that cultural neurons could improve performance in a simplified game environment, and they received structured feedback signals. The work was described in a 2022 peer-reviewed study and demonstrated what researchers called adaptive, goal-directed learning in a neural culture. Pong is a simple two-dimensional task. Doom is significantly more complex. The game involves navigating a three-dimensional environment, reacting to enemies, and making decisions about movement and combat. Because of that complexity, the researchers had to translate the game's visual information into electrical stimulation patterns the neurons could process, which, once again, pretty obvious if you ask me. What the brain cell experiment actually proves? Now, literally anything can run Doom, apparently. Despite the dramatic headline, scientists emphasize that the neurons are not literally understanding the game the way a human player would. Instead, the neurons respond to patterns of electrical stimulation tied to events in the game environment. If learning occurs, it manifests as improved performance under feedback conditions rather than through conscious decision making. I mean, yeah, but isn't this to some extent the usual experiments they do with rats in labyrinths, or to some extent even Pavlov's dog? Not that I'm calling this useless or anything like that, though, but it's nothing, wow, insanely new. It's just the new permutation of something we've seen before. The experiment demonstrates something important, a closed-loop interface between software and living human neurons that operates in real life. The interface could eventually enable biological computer systems to combine living neural networks and traditional silicon hardware. I'm assuming they're trying to achieve with this singularity, but actual singularity. I don't know how to feel about that. Surely, if the government puts a chip in your brain, everything will be good. However, the current result remains preliminary. The demonstration has not yet appeared in a peer-reviewed scientific paper, and researchers still debate how much of the learning occurs in the biological neurons themselves versus supporting machine learning software running alongside the system. You also have AI. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of the experimenting itself? Because you cannot tell where the learning is coming from? That sounds a little bit stupid. I don't think I'm alone in this one. So strange. So weird. Or researchers are interested in biological computers. Biological neurons are remarkably efficient processors. The human brain runs on roughly 20 watts of power, far less than the energy required by modeling AI systems, or supercomputers performing similar tasks. Scientists exploring biocomputing believe hybrid systems combining biological neurons with digital hardware could eventually tackle complex problems in ways traditional computers cannot. So I guess they're trying to find a way to challenge, perhaps? How do they call this? Was not nuclear. Quantum computing? I read about that, I'm not quite sure about how it works. But even if my understanding is not that great yet, but it's making strides for sure. The Zero One platform is part of a broader effort to make these systems accessible to researchers and developers. Critical Labs has positioned the device as a programmable platform for running experiments directly on living neurons, with cloud access enabling remote testing. The company says its next challenge is to improve how information is encoded into simulation signals and how neural responses are interpreted, enabling biological networks to learn more complex tasks. This kind of reminded me a little bit. I don't know how it didn't connect these already with just the article title. This feels like the Matrix. Not the inside, but the outside. Using humans as computers. It's a bit scary. You might think, that's never gonna happen. You have human rights and all that. Sure, but what if you need money for whatever reason, and when this company is coming and they tell you, okay, how about we pay you for you to become one of our computers? There was a movie that was something similar to that, by the way. Similar with heavy quotations. Don't remember the name of it, but you had humans working as storage, like tech storage, hard drives of sorts. It featured, if I'm not mistaken, it was Ken Reeves. And I'm not talking about the Matrix. But am I having Christian Bale? I think it's old enough for it not to be Christian Bale. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I stopped for a second to think, but yeah, that sounds a little bit dangerous. I guess not something impossible for that to happen, right? That sounds a bit scary. Where was I reading? Company says the next challenge to improve how information is encoded into stimulation signals and neural responses are interpreted, enabling biological networks to learn more complex tasks. Okay. And I don't think we touched anything on this part. Also makes the question, right? If you attain this, how do they call it again? This singularity, you need to ask, okay, but are you sure they're not going to reprogram you? No! They have security for that! Until you say a big no-no. Classic. Ethical questions behind the technology. Yeah, that's what I'm asking right now. Experiments involving human neurons also raise ethical questions. The cells used in systems like CL1 are typically derived from stem cells generated from donor tissue, such as skin or blood samples. These cells are then reprogrammed to neurons that can grow in laboratory cultures. Okay, sure, they're not using full-blown humans yet. If you could use a human brain, it would be way easier and better, I'm assuming. Current scientific guidelines state that there is no evidence that simple neuronal cultures can become conscious or experience pain. Still, researchers continue to monitor the field closely as biological computing systems become more sophisticated. For now, the neurons in the CL1 system are simple clusters of cells that respond to electrical signals. Understandable. But the fact that those signals can now guide the player through the demon field corridors of doom hints at a strange future where computing may rely not just on silicon chips, but on living neural networks. If the technology develops further, biological computers could eventually help power AI systems, robotics, or complex simulations, my bad, while using less energy than traditional chips. If a dish of neurons can learn to play them today, researchers are already asking a bigger question. What might they learn to do next? I guess Skyrim or Minecraft. It's the next game. Also reminds me of something I've been seeing recently on Twitter. This strange obsession some people have trying to play God, and it's literally trying to play God, I'm afraid. You have people saying that using pigs in farms and pigs to eat is just inhuman, and maybe it shouldn't be allowed. So they offer an alternative, which would be pretty much a Frankenstein monster to some extent. They call them the bodyoids, which is just the body, but without the brain, but it's still alive and just produces milk and meat. And you're like, holy shit, man-made horrors beyond human comprehension. Truly disgusting. You don't need to try and play God. You can just have pigs. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There are more humane ways to treat these farm animals than what you think it's actually happening. It's this strange obsession of trying to improve some stuff that's already good. I'm really wary of a lot of this. Not gonna lie. Didn't fall for the body, it's okay. You look at the image, yeah, it's just like a strange sack of meat. It feels really dystopian. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Speaking of dystopian technology, I guess it's more hilarious than actually dystopian. It's really funny, and people will tell you, "Wow, this is incredible." No, it's not. Come on. Someone tried to internally vibe code the operating system, and it wasn't great. Yeah? You think? Yeah, I know, right? Vive OS, a vibe coded OS. What's the Mac OS like desktop? An impressive feat for AI-generated code. It's not really that impressive. It's just still the look and feel of some stuff. Not really the look and feel, it's usually just the look, which is even worse. Something that really exists, so it's not that impressive. Like when you see, wow, I told the AI to make me a video game, it made this, isn't this impressive? No, it just remained Pokemon Red. Do you know that Pokemon Red was out 30 years ago? Whoa, holy moly, dude. That's crazy. I know, right? But yeah, you're just copying something that is already a thing. So now I'm not really impressed. If you showed me something that was actually new, actually unique, maybe I could find that more impressive, or somewhat impressive. How in depth do you think a vibe coded app can go in terms of features and complexity? Depending on who you'd ask, you'd likely get different replies. Massive AI programming will likely predict that programs will end up more as AI wranglers than coders, while critics will point to the vibe code inside bugging rate and lack of security measures. Like I've seen vibe coding, if you don't know what you're doing, it's an absolute disaster. If you know what you're doing, it's still really bad, because it's really difficult to maintain that code and to escalate on top of that. Sure, the code may do what you told it to do, but if it's not coded properly, you will not escalate, you will not be able to refactor properly, it's gonna be an absolutely bloated mess. You don't want that in your projects. Ask me how I know. Well, regardless of what your stance on vibe coding is, you have to agree that getting an entire operating system running off the coding practice is pretty impressive. Such is the case of Vive OS, an entire operating system created using AI. Is the operating system any good? Well, no. But the key thing is that it does boot. Does boot? Isn't that a movie? I think it was a book first. That's good enough for me. Well, okay, maybe the ability to connect to the internet would have also been nice. It's extremely buggy. I have the imaging everything here. ViveOS is Vibe-coded operating system that may have been a little too that may have imbibed a little too hard. But it can boot, so there's that. Okay, but that's not saying a whole lot. This feels like a race to the bottom once again. Vibe-coded operating system or Windows 11? What's the difference? Why do I have to pick between two pieces of shit when we had operating systems before that worked properly? Even XP, despite the memory leaks. Spurred by Hackaday, YouTuber Pyramid decided to give the AI-generated ViveOS a try. As per its GitHub, ViveOS sounded like a promising project. ViveOS is a from scratch Unix-like operating system with full multi-architecture support for ARM64 and x86-64, so 32 and 64-bit architecture, I'm assuming. It features a custom kernel, a modern macOS-powered graphical user interface, a full TCP/IP networking stack, no it doesn't, and a virtual file system, VFS, built with 25,000 plus lines of C in assembly, runs natively on QEMU, real hardware, Raspberry Pi 4 and 5, and PCs with a 32 and 64 architecture, and Apple Silicon. Sounds a little too good to be true, so Pyramid decided to check it out for themselves. They were decided if iOS is worth of your time. Pyramid put the operating system through a few tests as a checklist of things to expect from an OS. The first one was to see that the OS has to actually boot up, and to my surprise, entirely vibe-coded OS can boot to the desktop. Pretty impressive stuff. It's actually not a dip, because it could just be a mock-up of an actual desktop. It's more disappointing than that. Reality, I mean. Reality is often disappointing. And finally, that's seemingly where they want to send. The only other tests ViveOS managed to pass were hosting a functional non-taking app, which apparently does not save and will crash, from what you're saying. Handling in GUI, and running a snake, albeit poorly. Everything else, from connecting to the internet to playing the pre-included copy of them in the OS files, the deleting files all failed. As you might imagine, the VibeCode OS came with some pretty amazing bugs. For instance, if you open the app using its dedicated function key shortcut, the mouse will begin eating the app when you move your cursor over it. Unless you open the note-taking app, which actually begins to rebuild the parts you hover over. Holy shit, how do you do that? How does that happen? My goodness. Yeah, like this guy says, you want to custom OS, just Linux. Just use Linux. Probably way better. It is better, I presume. Yeah, it's kind of a shame it didn't save the Parent Nation tweet about this, because it was actually really good. And it was actually really on point with all of this. It fails. A lot. I'm not even joking. Yep. Of course, we're seeing a lot of people comparing ViveOS to Windows 11. Which one is worse? Probably this one for now. But we'll see what happens with enough time. Windows 11 can always get worse. Which is funny, but also pretty depressing. What can you say? And now, why don't we get to some news that can and should piss you off. Let me stretch first, though. Ow, ow, my back. Sony's reportedly testing dynamic pricing on its PlayStation storefront that changes the price tag of over 190 games. Dynamic pricing is something really fun and really obvious to say. Some people pay less than you for video games for no discerning reason whatsoever. That should make you mad. Games like Astrobot and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 are reportedly included in the test. Why would they test something like this? I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you, it's only possible. The only possibility here is mischief. Sony has been reportedly testing dynamic pricing on the PlayStation Store for months, but we only know of that now. It's according to PS Prices, which claims that Sony has been running an A/B testing experiment that shows different prices to different users since November 2025. In the first 4 months, the experiment grew from just 50 games in 30 regions to now over 190 games in more than 70 regions. Sony is allegedly testing the prices for its own first-party titles, like Astrobot, and launch a new IPT_LTM program with elastic pricing. Oh, dynamic, elastic. You know what this is? This is equity pricing. That's the proper terminology. I don't know why Sony would do something like that. I can understand making the games more expensive, because you're a company, you want to sell more, so of course, where's my money? Why would you make some games cheaper? That sounds really weird. Of course, we don't really understand the reasoning behind these changes in prices. I could assume it's region-based, but it might be more deceptive than that. And you could try to use shallow characteristics like that of race and sex. I do remember reading something about that at some point. It's been a long time, so I don't really remember where. But I guess it's finally happening. Some people will pay more and some people will pay less, because everybody's equal, but some are more equal than others. Which PS Prices added its spotted because it tracks PlayStation Store prices in more than 50 regions. System detected initial offer structures containing experiment identifiers, IPT_pilot, IPT_OPR_testing. In PlayStation API responses, the website explained the experimental prices are shown only to certain segments of users selected by Sony. Only to certain segments of users selected by Sony. That's really strange. That's really curious. I fail to see the proper objective of something like this. I'm assuming at some point they will make games more expensive for some people, but only time can tell. PlayStation Store users have similarly been seeing different prices. They're actually lower than the standard retail rates on games like The Last of Us Part 2, God of War, Spider-Man, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and more. These are not all titles, really. Not all of them. Reports add that personalized discounts have appeared during sales, offering discounts as high as 12.6% on the aforementioned titles. That's 1/8 of the total price, which is not nothing. Initially, it was thought that the US was exempt from the experiment. As of March, PS Prices claims that this is no longer true, and discovered Sony has since included PlayStation's largest market. In March 2026, we discovered that the US was including this in the experiment, and discounts are significantly deeper than in Europe. It said, while discounts in Europe are 10 to 70%, in the US they reach 27.8%, more than a fourth. That's actually a lot of money. In addition to regular discounts, during the February PlayStation Store sales, PS Prices reports that found the experiment participants received a different discount compared to regular users as well. For example, Helldivers 2 was sold to regular users at 25% discount, while experiment participants saw 56% discount, it said. Dynamic prices is a method businesses use to adjust the cost of its products real-time based on demand. Yes, but that's not what's happening, because it's not in real-time based on demand. It's in real-time just for some people. And something seen as a rather unfair practice. I wasn't sure if this article was going to agree with me. The UK government has really launched an investigation into Ticketmaster for the same thing. I don't read it's unfair. I don't know if it's actually illegal. Think it should be. Why do I have to pay more or less as an individual than other people in the same conditions in the same market. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm gonna go to the store to buy a game and I have to pay $50, why do other people that go the same day at the same point have to pay 30, for example? How is that fair? If this goes forward, I think this is only going to increase a sense of resentment against the company, and well deserved, if I'm being honest. You're treating your customers like completely disposable wallets, so why wouldn't you? Well, if you only see me like this, and you're gonna treat me in this extremely unfair way, aside from the possible lowering quality for the games themselves, why would I want to pay you anything? Why would I want to buy anything from you? No, I don't want to see your company. I want you broke. I want your company out of business. How dare you treat me like this? But it's not the only one. Tinder has been doing this too, apparently. Tinder agrees to pay 60.5 million USD after dating app suit for charging certain users more. Why? Who are these certain users? Why is this being pushed now? Well, I guess it's only fair that some more privileged people pay more. What do they consider privilege? I have no clue. So of course, this is gonna be absolutely fair, right? They would never lie to you. Tinder has agreed to pay 60.5 million USD to settle a class action lawsuit accusing the dating app of discriminating against certain users by charging them more for subscriptions. It's also really insane to me that an app such as Tinder has a subscription-based model. Do not do that, okay? It's not worth your time or your money. The case, originally filed in California in 2015, Mr. Alan Candelore alleged that Tinder violated state law by charging people aged 29 and older more for premium subscriptions like Tinder Plus and Tinder Gold compared to younger users. I do believe that people aged 29 and more could be more inclined on using not only Tinder, but paying for these subscriptions. So I guess this is just an age-based pricing model, maybe scandal is also correct. That's so strange, that's so weird. According to the complaint, Tinder used the tiered pricing model that offered cheaper rates to younger users while other customers paid significantly more for the same features. I wonder if they're gonna give us some percentages for this, some just numbers. They also argued that the practice violated California's Unruly Civil Rights Act and the state's unfair competition law, which prohibits discrimination by businesses. I mean, we didn't read that in the Sony article, we didn't see anything like this, but I think this is pretty common business law, right? You don't want unfair competition or discrimination for your customers. At the end of the day, that's only gonna increase their enmity towards you, so even if that wasn't the law, maybe you shouldn't do it. It has personally announced and employed a multi-tiered pricing plan that treats consumers unequally based only on their age. Why stop at age? Why not sex? Why not race? Why not background? Why not nationality? If you think it's not coming, boy, I do have bad news for you. I never expected to see anything like this happening, but then again, real life is way worse than my wildest expectations, and that's never good. The Lighting executive supply for the age-related pricing, it benefits the bottom line. It's more money for them. That's just it. Dating app denied any wrongdoing, but agreed to the multi-million-dollar settlement to result in a long-running legal battle. We didn't do anything wrong, guys, we promise. But sure, we'll pay the 60 million. Yeah, sure thing. Maybe they were trying to avoid discovery. So I can only assume they're doing much worse than this and actual big criminal stuff going on with Tinder. That sounds really scary to me. Tinder might owe you money after settling a lawsuit for 60.5 million USD. More than 260,000 users are expected to be eligible for compensation as part of the settlement. Payments will vary depending on how much individuals spend on Tinder's premium subscriptions during the eligible period. The settlement primarily applies to California residents aged 29 or older who purchased Tinder Plus or Tinder Gold on or after March 2nd, 2015. It's been 10 years! Timbers aged 28 and older who bought the subscription in California starting March 2nd, 2016 may also qualify. What about after that? Eligible users will need to verify their membership details and submit payment information through the official settlement site. The line to opt out or add to the agreement is April 8, 2026. While users have until August 18, 2026 to confirm their details if they want to receive the payout. The final hearing to approve the settlement is scheduled for May 20, 2026 in Los Angeles County Superior Court. If approved, it will bring an end to a legal fight that has lasted nearly a decade. How is it possible that they have been doing this for 10 years, guy? Holy... That's crazy to me. That's insane. Tinder and other dating apps have faced criticism before for how they price some of their higher tier subscriptions. Yeah, they want to monetize desperation. Imagine that. And they end up committing crimes. Whoops! Back in 2023, the app launched an invite-only tier called Tinder Slate, which costs users $4.99 USD a month. Holy! $500 a month? Are you mad? Do not redeem, sir. My goodness. Just to start smoking at this rate. The subscription features exclusive benefits, including sending messages without matching with someone, and showing the most desired profiles. Earlier this year, Grindr launched an AI subscription called Edge. Of course it is. It costs up to 6,000 USD a year. 6,000 a year! Are the homosexuals really this desperate? I just don't believe you, my guy. I've seen the gays. They are not gonna pay. They don't have to. I bet. It is really strange. This is March 5th. This is March 10th. What is gonna happen March 15th, which happens to be tomorrow? I don't know, and I don't want to know. The last thing you want to see from these big corporations is equity in pricing. But I guess they're not gonna stop as long as they don't get sued into oblivion. It looks really, really scary. God damn it, I keep clicking the wrong things on the side. And it is really, really scary. Gotta be real, I don't think Sony is gonna completely collapse, even if they get sued because of this. And as we've seen before, they will need to be punished greatly. Because if they don't, they will keep doing this because the benefits are higher than the punishment. We don't live in a just world, and it pains me to no end. What do we have here? Oh boy, yeah, this is also gonna be a good one. Hold up. Oh. Holy shit, dude. Oh. So sleepy. What else is new here? Absolutely nothing, as usual. Okay. ID verification never stops. Adults required to prove age to watch porn, video games in major crackdown. This is from Australia, as far as I know. The Sydney Morning Herald had to be an archive. Students will be unable to access porn, R-rated video games, and explicit AI chatbots unless they provide their age under the landmark online safety crackdown. From Monday, this is from March 6th, so I'm assuming this already happened. Search engines, social media platforms, pornography websites, app stores, gaming providers, and generative AI systems, including companion chatbots, must take meaningful steps to prevent children from being exposed to inappropriate content, or face a 49.5 million USD fine per breach. That's, in practicality, much more than Tinder's thing with the equity pricing. How curious. I understand that this comes from a extremely puritanical, even though I don't think that's actually the reasoning, to just protect the kids, even though that's not actually happening. They're not actually protecting kids. If you wanted to protect the kids, you would parent properly. It's been my argument since the beginning. And if you're a bad parent, that's on you. Maybe you shouldn't have kids. Sadly, I've seen that one too many times. But they also mix a lot of things here that are not really comparable. Sure, pornography websites. Sure, you shouldn't have kids watching porn. What a shocker, I do agree, but social media platforms I could understand to some extent. But search engines, gaming providers, app stores, generative AI systems. That's a lot that doesn't have to do anything with each other, really. Aside from, it's just loosely tech related, internet related. Why do I have to give my ID to Google, for example? Don't they have enough of my information already? How about a little bit more? 1 in 3 Australian children aged 10 to 17 have seen sexual images or videos online, while more than 70% of children have seen or heard online content associated with harm, including high-impact violence, pornography, self-harm material, and content portraying suicide and disordered eating, according to e-safety research. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Where are the fucking parents? How many times do I have to ask this question? Where are the parents? What? How is it possible you have kids aged 10? All of teenagers. I understand being more hands-off with them. Why do you have kids aged 10 with complete access to the internet? It's absolute insanity. This is just the consequences of your wrong actions once again. It's really disgusting. I'm sick of this. I'm just sick of this. If you're a shit parent, well, fuck you, that's your problem. I don't need the government to be my parent. I'm already an adult. Stop this. And the accounts created by the industry under the direction of the e-safety commissioner, why not commissar? Adults will continue to have full access to legal adult content, but some services, including pornography, will not require proof of age. And the e-safety commissar, Julie Grant, services must have accurate, robust, fair, and reliable age assurance methods, similar to those used to enforce the under 16 social media ban. Once again, we see here several ages, and I don't understand what's going on. Also, this is not cohesive. They mention here under 16 social media ban, but then again, social media platforms, given the context, you cannot be a minor in being a social media platform. So you cannot be under 16, but you also cannot be under 18. I'm not sure if I'm following here the proper ruling. Then again, accurate, robust, fair, and reliable. It's a massive web of lies, because none of this is real. It's not accurate, it's not robust, it's not reliable, and first of all, it's not fair. Grant said simply clicking on a button that says, I'm 18 years or older, is no longer sufficient. Maybe we should get these parents that allow the kids to be just freely on the internet and punish them, jail them if necessary. God damn it, at this point they deserve it. They don't allow children to walk into bars or bottle shops, adult stores or casinos. When it comes to online spaces where they're spending a lot of their time, there are no such safeguards, Iman Grant said. Don't allow children to walk into bars, are you sure? Maybe have a more of a loose concept of what a bar constitutes. The problem here is mainly that if I go to a bar, bottle shop, adult store, or a casino, if I show my ID to the cashier, the waiter, or whoever there is, it's just a quick glance, human to human. When we talk about the internet, it's me throwing caution to the wind because I'm spreading my information through the internet. Oh no, this is so bad, this platform is so good, until it gets hacked, because it happens every single time, or until they decide, you know what, we're gonna sell your information. Why? Because they give us money for that. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's illegal. Do I look like I care? They don't care. They just don't care. It's insanity. And since for Australian kids with these codes, which simply bring those same common sense protections, we need common sense social media laws right now. You'll grow up with to the online world of today. Oi, wanker! What are all this? A license, mate. Right now we're talking about. Let me mark this a little bit. More ID verification. This case in Australia. For even something such as search engines, because of course kids aged 10 to 17 can just go to the internet, because apparently nobody has parents anymore. Truly disgusting. As with the social media ban rules, verification methods could include photo identification, facial age estimation. But I thought you said accurate and reliable. This fails. I don't want to say most of the time because I'm not sure, but this fails a lot. Because as we've seen, people being 25 plus, the AI will check, you look young, so you have to be a kid. So no, you cannot access Discord. Cool. Now you have to show your ID. Papers, please. Facial age estimation, credit card checks, digital identity wallets. Oh, digital identity wallets. I bet you love those. You filthy communist. Using artificial intelligence to estimate age based on the user's data. You said AI age estimation like 3 different times here. Stop this. Stop this. It's just the same all the time. Any measures used must comply with Australian privacy law. Privacy law. Let me throw my head back and laugh. They're completely useless. When you have to dox yourself, the law doesn't really exist, does it? Any platform that carries 18 plus content or adult content is required to use age assurance. I will leave that up to the business themselves that keeps high level assurance of just self-declaration, Iman Grant said. The controls AI companion chatbots capable of generating sexually explicit, high-impact violence also found material to confirm users' ages before allowing them to access material. Back in my day, we understood to some extent that the real world is the adult world. Therefore, if you're a kid, you should be careful, and there are places where maybe you shouldn't go to. And if you go to those places, you shouldn't act like an absolute moron or just a kid. Nowadays it's the opposite. I'm not against protecting kids. I'm not a fucking lunatic, okay? I'm not a lunatic, I promise. But there are no more adult spaces. Everything has to be a children's space. Therefore, we need to completely give away your information, your privacy. Because, think of the kids. I do wish they thought of the kids a little bit more. The parents, that is. They will tell, but you can still access those adult spaces. But I don't want to give my information, I don't want to give my ID to the likes of, what was the company name? Persona? Absolutely not. We all know that all of these platforms are prone to being hacked because it happens every other week. And even if they didn't, they're gonna have data breaches, they're gonna sell your data, and I don't want to go through that. the best way for your data to not be shared online is for the data itself to never be there. Hey, OPSEC, I know a little bit about that. And the rules are changing. God damn it. AI companion chatbots. I do agree that kids shouldn't have AI companion chatbots. Because AI is not that useful in that regard, and kids are stupid. But that doesn't mean it should be a Papers, Please kind of situation. I'm just asking the parents to parent properly. I know that's a hot take nowadays. AI companion chatbots capable of generating sexually explicit, high-impact violence. And this is just what we read up here. App stores. App stores must take appropriate steps to prevent users who are under 18 from purchasing or downloading apps rated 18+, and ensure apps are appropriately rated. If the App Store does not already know someone's age, they may be asked to confirm it through age assurance. I'm not being expert in App Stores, despite my upbringing. Maybe I should know more about this. I don't really think you can have 18+ apps, at least on official stores. I do remember there was a big debacle back in the day with the likes of Tumblr. Oh, you cannot have explicit content. If you have explicit content, we're gonna ban the app. So, for the app not to be banned, that's why they banned explicit content in Tumblr. A massive disaster. It was working as a great cage for a lot of insane freaks. And now we're suffering the consequences from that. So I don't really know about this. I don't really know about that. Messaging. There are no age checks required for widely used general messaging services or those attached to social media platforms, such as Facebook Messenger. Users may be asked to verify their age with all messaging services specializing in distributing sexually explicit content, pornography, or self-harm material. Okay, how do you categorize something as an adult messaging service? Sure, I would agree that apps like Tinder, for example, would fall into this. Probably, what's the other one? Snapchat. A lot of questionable content in that one too. But you just said in a blank statement, messaging. So it's probably gonna be everything. So much for end-to-end encryption, which these measures also dislike heavily. But how about you give the government in backdoor? How about no? I do like privacy, okay? I'm not a criminal. That's why they don't have to be looking at my stuff. Online gaming. Okay, I misread something for a second. Users will have to complete some form of age assurance to access online games classified 18+ by the Australian Classification Board. For other games, no age checks are required. Sure, I get it, but you just said online gaming. You cannot just say online gaming and messaging when you just mean 18+. Once again, are you gonna classify 18+? There are some games that are not actually 18+, like a lot of MMOs, but we all know the kind of people that play Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, that's not 18+, that's not safe for any ages. I've seen the kind of people. That's why I never want to play that kind of game. I'm sorry. I'd rather play my obscure MMOs. Pornography sites, I mean, that makes sense. Sure. Pornography is 18+ by default. Search engines. For users who are not logged into an account, for example, a Google account, search results containing pornography and high-impact violence will be blurred by default. Isn't this already a thing? I think it kinda is, but I don't know about the specifics. Also, what is this obsession with everything being accounts nowadays? God, it's so annoying. Not everything needs an account. When everything has an account, it's really easy for you to fall into the, well, maybe, but only maybe. This now should be a subscription-based kind of deal. Was also a strange thing to read the other week with that, what was it, California law that wants to implement age verification on operative systems, which is truly insane, you need issue verification on account creation. What account creation on Linux, you fucking moron? That's only Microsoft, and that is new technology. They love their account systems, huh? And social media. Social media services that allow pornography or self-harm material must ensure users are 18 plus before giving them access to that material. This may involve age assurance when someone logs in at the point of access to that material. If they are using a service that does not allow porn according to its own TOS, like Facebook for example, there will be no change. It's not allowed by TOS, but I bet you they have that kind of content. I've used Twitter for a long time, and I've seen a lot of stuff that's actually against TOS, but they're still there. Or it was still there for the longest time. Now there's formally Twitter, it might be a little bit different. Across Australia! Might. Children and young adults are forming relationships with artificial intelligence companion bots, which can quickly turn explicit and have at times encourage self-harm and suicide. It's one of the reasons why I don't like AI. I don't think it's that good. This is also really anti-humanistic in my opinion. What do you mean? Relationships with AI, it's only riddled with problems. Because the best case scenario, it turns you into a narcissist. And maybe you shouldn't have a lot of those in functioning society. AI doesn't have needs, AI doesn't have limitations, it's always there, it's pretty much just a slave. But actual humans are the opposite. You have your lived experience, as some people say. You have your limitations, you have even just normal limitations like time and energy, okay? Not just different types of moods you can have. So you cannot just be there, you cannot just give 100% of the time. This is, if you thought dating was bad now, I don't want to see dating in 10 years. Oh boy. It's not my wish to die alone, but I'm ready to do so if need be. Holy shit. And yes, of course, we've seen several cases of, I think it was minors, committing suicide because, oh, sure, I will go home to you. Was it, what's her name again? Daenerys, the dragon chick from Game of Thrones. And the guy used the gun for that. Once again, really young people having unfettered access, my bad, to technology, especially experimental technology such as AI. Holy moly, dude, are you reading that? That's insane. It comes after a parliamentary inquiry into the impacts of porn on mental, emotional, and physical health. Where the average age of first exposure to pornography is 13 years old. I've seen as low as 11. And children as young as 6 were showing signs of porn exposure. How the hell do you do that? How do you have kids as young as 6 with just free access to the internet? It's something I don't understand. They will tell you, but the internet is so prevalent. Sure, I understand that the internet is so prevalent, but you cannot just connect with your mind. Not yet. We don't live in that kind of dystopian future yet. You need to give the kids some sort of device to do so. A computer, a phone, a tablet, something of that sort. Why are you giving those devices to 6-year-old kids? And not only that, having a tablet could be useful, right? For drawing and whatnot. Just buy some sheets of paper and some crayons, for crying out loud. That's been the case for centuries. I'm not coming up with new ideas. How is it possible that you don't check what they do with that? How are you not using at least the parental controls? It's insanity. This is... Sure, the kids are fucked up, because the parents are fucking useless. I don't think I will be the best dad ever, but I will be way better than this. It'd be difficult to be worse than this, at least. Holy shit, dude. This is depressing! Maybe it's because I understand a lot about the internet of technology. It has made me wise. Also crazy. I was crazy once. Iman Grant said that for decades society had agreed that there are certain things children were not physically, developmentally, or emotionally equipped to deal with. She said the guardians, the boarding on parents, carers, and schools. She is actually saying that! You shouldn't be easing the boarding on parents! Not on parents! Then again, I've seen people from different governments saying stupid shit like, yeah, the kids belong to the government. Huh? Okay, Stalin. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Because that's obviously not the case. If that was true, you would be paying for the kids, but you're not. Make no mistake, where we see failures or food tracking, we hold companies to account. God damn it, dude. I'm a shit parent, therefore... Daddy State, please help me. God damn it, you don't hate these people enough. And I also found... I found this just before stream, so I couldn't read through it. Apparently it's massive. We might skim a little bit through it if push comes to shove, right? But I found something that could be really interesting and has to do with all of these ID verification bullshit that has been pushed almost globally in what, months? It's been more than months. Some of the laws take a couple of years, but since what, 2022? 2023? And forgive me, Father, for how I have said this is Reddit. So I will take this with a massive grain of salt, of course. This is from 3 hours ago on the archive. This is today. I traced 2 billion USD in non-profit grants and 45 states of lobbying records to figure out who's behind the age verification bills. The answer was accompanying the profits from your data, writing laws that collect more of it. Apparently, spoiler alert, because the tweet that I found mentioned it already, this is Zuckerberg's company, Meta. So, ooh, you think the guy was clean? No, it's not. He's the lizardman for a reason, after all. That's scary shit, too. But I guess now we know somebody that's behind all of this bullshit. As you can see, this is fucking massive. Massive. And I'm assuming this only pertains to the US. So who knows from what happens outside that. I mean, polling records on the way of age verification bills moving through the US state legislatures, areas 990 filings, Senate lobbying disclosures, state ethics databases, campaign finance records, corporate registries, whois lookups, Wayback Machine archives. Wayback Machine archives, careful. They're a little bit compromised sometimes. What started as curiosity about who was pushing these bills turned to documenting a coordinated influence operation that, from a privacy standpoint, is built on surveillance infrastructure at the operating system level, while the company behind it faces zero new requirements for some platforms. I don't think that is entirely correct. Maybe it's different in the US. Right, we just read this that mentioned Facebook, I think. Did they? No, they're actually exempt because they, in theory, they don't allow explicit content. Haha! How curious! I want to be clear about what it is and isn't. I'm not the author of the earlier r/Linux post by Aaron SB, and I'm not affiliated with them. All this to draw attention on this subreddit because the privacy implications go well beyond Linux. Every source cited here is a public record. What the bills actually require you to hand over. Most reporting on this bill says something being like 8 checks at device setup, which could entail root access at some point, which is so really scary. The state federal language is more specific and more invasive than that. California AB 1043, signed October 2025, and effective January 1st, 2027, that's the operative system law that became somewhat famous recently. And the section badge numbers is a person or entity that develops, licenses, or controls the operating system software on a computer, mobile device, or any other general purpose computing device. Every OS provider must then provide an interface and account setup, collecting a birth date or age, and expose a real-time API that broadcasts the user's age bracket, under 15, 13 to 15, 16 to 17, 18 plus, to any application running on the system. I said already that this might not be able to be done in a technical way. How can you do that on setup if you don't have an account system or you cannot be connected to the internet? Read that again. Every app on your device gets to query a system-level API to return your age bracket in real time. This is age verification at the point of accessing restricted content. This is a persistent age broadcasting service baked into the operating system itself, curable by every installed application. Now, the Colorado law, which we also mentioned before, covers the same definitions in the same order, same penalty structure, 2,500 per child per negligent violations, 7,500 for intentional ones, same exceptions. The template is the ICMEC, Detail Age Assurance Act. It's being introduced or is pending in Illinois, 3 separate bills, New York, Kansas, South Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, Florida, and at the federal level. Hey, I thought people didn't like federal law. What's going on here? Disappointed by the US. New York's law goes further. It requires device manufacturers to perform commercially reasonable and technically feasible age assurance. Yes, for reasonable, but I don't think anything here is actually reasonable. I'm sorry. At device activation and especially bans self-reporting. The AG picks the approved methods. That means biometric age estimation or government ID verification before you can use a device you purchased. This is also a big problem. As somebody that knows a little bit about tech and a little bit about phones, especially. How are you prepared to deal with this sensitive information? You really are not. So I'm assuming they're just going to ignore that instead of giving you a special kind of certification, which could also be another money issue for these people. But maybe that's just me. Essential to know that bills cover broadband ISPs, telecom service, and physical products, non-containing exception for open source software, non-commercial products, or privacy-preserving verification methods. They have the status for the bills here. Some are enacted, some are passed, and some are still pending. Ah yeah, federal, the COSA. I've seen that terminology before. The privacy architecture these bills create. Here's what concerns me most from a privacy perspective. These bills don't just verify H1s, they create a persistent identity layer inside the operating system that applications can create at will. The commercial age verification vendors who would provide this infrastructure, Yeti, Verif, Jumia, charge 10 cents to $2 per check, require proprietary SDKs, demand API key state to commercial accounts, and operate cloud only with no self-hosted option. Your age verification data goes to third-party cloud service every time because you don't have an alternative. Do you know what I just said about all of these being really prone to hacking and data breaches, or just telling you to fuck off and they're gonna sell your data? Yeah, it's gonna happen because there's no alternative for this. So scary. Compare this to what the EU built. The EU Digital Identity Wallet under EIDAS 2.0 is open source, self-hostable, instant zero-knowledge proofs. You can prove your over 18 without revealing your birth date, your name, or anything else. It has a lot of problems related to that still, because it's just... how do we call this again? Nothing different than a social credit score, though. Which I'm not a big fan of China, as you might expect. No per-check fees, no proprietary SDKs, no data going to vendor's cloud. Well, that's what you say. It's gonna be really easy, really prone to hacking, because the infrastructure is just ass. The EU's Digital Services Act puts age verification obligations on very large online platforms. 45 million plus monthly users, not on operating systems. FOSS projects that don't act as intermediary services are explicitly outside the scope. Micro and small enterprises get additional exemptions. The US built a similar operating system is built by a corporation with infrastructure and revenue to absorb these costs. What about Linux? Maybe that's too dangerous for them. They started from the opposite assumption and built accordingly. So you're gonna be met in the end, in the middle, from both sides. Ah! Two spears in my sides! Fuck! Works offline. I don't know about that one. I don't think it can, to be fair. Not with the additional device, of course. Who wrote the legislation? Yes, that's something I'd like to know. This where it gets interesting. Rep. King Carver, a Republican from Bucier City, the sponsor of Louisiana's bill, publicly confirmed that a many lobbyists brought the legislative language directly to her. The bill as drafted requires only Apple stores, Apple, Google, to verify user ages. It does not require social media platforms to do anything. What about the websites? Funny enough. Meta deployed 12 lobbyists across 9 different firms for the single bill, paying at least $324,992 USD. Described as a very conservative estimate. The confirmed firms include Pelican State Partners, who also lobbied for Roblox. God fucking damn it, are you kidding me? Then Meta framed this as broad industry support rather than one company's project. Anderson Ruiz LLP, the #1 ranked Louisiana government affairs firm, and State Capital Solutions. Nicole Lapis, Meta's Director of Global Litigation Strategy for Youth, testified to the House Commerce Committee in support. She also testified in South Dakota for a similar bill. She is Meta's national point person for these laws. Louisiana's law passed unanimously at every stage. House 1990, Senate 1390. So why did Meta need 12 lobbyists to convince everybody? Because the votes were never the concern. The lobbyists were there to control the text and block amendments. Ah! Yeah, that makes sense. Pushing a law is good, but pushing a law exactly how you want it, that's the end goal. The key amendment battle came from Senator Jim Morris, who expanded the bill to include app developers alongside app stores after Google's Senior Director of Government Affairs publicly questioned why Mark Zuckerberg is seeking and passing these bills. Ha! Yeah, that guy's gonna get killed. 13 shots to the back of the head. Classic suicide. You hate to see it. When Morris introduced his amendment, Meta went silent. The conference committee compromised to maintain dual responsibility, but kept the primary boarding on app stores, which is what Meta wanted from the start. The same Senate hearing, Morris directly questioned DCA Executive Director Cassie Stefanski about who funds her organization. She reportedly deflected. Whoops, red flag. Says she wasn't comfortable answering. Why not? Why not, woman? Then, under continued pressure, tech companies provided funding but refused to name them. See, that's something that pisses me off about politicians. And politicians at any single level, okay? If you're being funded by somebody while being a politician, we should know. We should have that information. We as the electorate should know who's paying you. I think that's more than fair. I do remember people saying, well, maybe they should be like race drivers and they should have a suit with all of their sponsors. That'd be funny. It would also be really useful. Who's paying you, pal? A vacancy group that doesn't legally exist. How is that possible? The Digital Childhood Alliance presents itself as a coalition of 50 plus conservative child safety organizations, later inflated to 140 plus. You can just make numbers. The only 6 have ever been publicly named, as being testifying in favor of these bills across states. Here's what public records show about its legal status. It's also something that pisses me off about politics. You can't just lie. And it's usually a positive for you if you just lie. I searched all 4 original extracts of the IRS exempt organization's business master file, EU1 through EU4.csv, which cover every tax exempt organization registered in the US. DCA is not there. Now, EIN? EIN? The EIN files. Is this for this organization? As a search for incorporation records in Colorado, DC, Delaware, and Virginia, plus open corporates, 200 million plus companies. ProPublica, Nonprofit Explorer, GetStar, and Charity Navigator. No incorporation record exists in any of them. So it doesn't really exist, that's kind of funny. This year's domain was registered on November 18th, 2024 through GoDaddy, with privacy protection and a 4-year registration. The website was live and fully formed 1 day later. Professional design, statistics, testimonials from Heritage Foundation and NCOC staff. ASAA talking points already loaded. This is not a grassroots launch. It usually isn't. Surprise, surprise. This is a staging deployment of a pre-built site. 77 days later, SB 142 became the first ASAA law signed in the country. Hold up. Fixing my hands a little bit. The process of donations through For Good, formerly Network for Good, I'm Bunch of Numbers, which is a donor advised fund. For Good explicitly states in its documentation that serves non-profit organizations. DC claims the not the same status 501c3 non-profit, but DC claims 501c4 status. DCA is classified as a project in the For Good system, not a standalone non-profit. As such, all 59,736 For Good grant recipients across 5 years. Roughly 1.73 billion USD in disbursements, so grants to DCA, DCI, NCOSE, or any related entity. The donation page appears to be cosmetic. Is this Minnesota? Holy shit, they seem to be more competent, but also bigger and more evil. Bloomberg reporters exposed Meta as a DCA founder in July 2025. The Industrial News detailed the arrangement in December 2025. No version of the website across 100 plus Wayback Machines snapshots has ever disclosed funding sources. If they did, maybe they took that snapshot down. We've seen Wayback Machine cow-tied to the demands of some of these big entities. That should never be the case, but they could be a little bit too powerful. Their blog post and testimony targets Apple and Google. Perhaps never mentioned or criticized. How curious, I wonder why. DCA's leadership turns directly to NCOSE, National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Cassie Stefanski, Executive Director, spent 10 years at NCOSE as Senior Director of Global Partnerships. Unusually, she never appears on any NCOSE 990 filing as an officer, key employee, or among the 5 highest compensated staff. A Senior Director title at a 5.4 million USD organization for a decade with no 990 appears suggests either below threshold compensation, an inflated title, or something else about the arrangement. Is that company actually real or not? I'm not sure at this point in time, man. Holy shit, where's my tinfoil? I'm gonna need it at this rate. I'm gonna need a full suit with heavy plate and a shield. Don Hawkins, the CS chair, simultaneously serves as CEO of NCOC. Isn't that a conflict of interest a little bit? Not that they care or anything, but they're always in bed with each other. John Reed, DCA Senior Policy Advisor, spent 30 years at the DOJ Antitrust Division investigating app stores and big tech. How curious. NCOC's own 501c4 structure turns out to be complicated. Using a scheduler files across 4 years reveals that NCOC created NCOC Action. I'm a bunch of numbers. We don't really care about all of the numbers. This is already extremely heavy as is. I'm trying to make this a little bit faster, but I don't think it's working. As it's C4 in 2021, reclassified it from C4 to C3 in 2022. Then created an entirely new C4 called Institute for Public Policy, with a different I number. In 2023, with the same address and the same principal officer, Marcel van der Vat. By 2024, the original entity had disappeared from Scheduler entirely. Is this a sheep of Theseus kind of thing? Can happen with companies, I guess. That's kind of wild. Despite NCOC's website describing NCOC action as created by NCOCE, and the Schedule R listed the Institute as a control organization, all 19 transaction indicators between NCOCE and the Institute are marked no. No grants, no shared employees, which, as we've seen, isn't it a little bit of a lie? No shared facilities, no reimbursements. Zero reported transactions between a parent, and some controlled C4 will staff move freely between them. Concurrently, NCOC's lobbying spending tripled from 78,000 to 204,000 USD. Coinciding with DCA's launch and the ASAA legislative push, I think we're getting a pretty obvious view here of what's going on. It's a little bit convoluted, but I do think we understand that this is just a huge fucking mess of lobbyists and NGOs from Meta trying to control the government. Holy shit, am I gonna get killed? I'm not suicidal, okay? If they get me, it was the Zuckerberg. Or the globalists, who knows? 70 million plus in super PACs. Deliberately fragmented. Meta poured over 70 million into state-level super PACs. Structure everyone to avoid the FEC's centralized searchable database. They have a list here. ATEP, Meta California, California Leads, Forge the Future. Couldn't be more on the nose than this, actually. And Making Earth Tomorrow. They have such cool names, but when you look at what they do, they're really, really scary. It feels like some sort of thriller movie at times. Reality is way worse than fiction, sadly. And a bunch of names here. This is a lot of legalists. They show you the contribution here. By registering every pack at the state level rather than federally, Meta scatters filings across dozens of state ethics commission databases with different formats, different disclosure timelines, and no centralized search. So it's trying to be covert, obviously, and difficult to trace. Each filing is technically public. Aggregating them into a coherent picture requires manually querying each state, which is a lot. This structural opacity by fragmentation. Forge the Future's stated policy priorities include empowering parents with oversight of children's online activities across devices and digital environments. It's not a deep pal, you don't need big tech or you don't need the government to do this for you. You can just do that as a parent, actually. You can be like, okay kid, show me what you're doing. Why don't they have allocated time? I have no idea. 30-minute back candidates across Texas and North Carolina primaries. 19-1. Holy shit. 95% chance of success. The only missing one in the D20, huh? That's crazy. The friend that bridges both tracks. This defining that connects two things have been tracking separately. Hilltop Public Solutions, a Democrat consulting firm, shows up in three distinct contexts. Co-leads ATEP, Meta's 45 million bipartisan super PAC, involving DCS messaging coordination per investigative reporting, connected to Forge the Future, of course, the Dangstream Texas PAC with ASAA-aligned policy priorities. This makes Hilltop the first confirmed entity bridging Meta's political spending operation and DCE advocacy campaign. The firm helping Meta elect tech-friendly state legislators also coordinates messaging for the nominally independent grassroots organization pushing those legislators to pass SASAA. Asa! It's kinda hard to say for me, please understand. That's so much. That's really, really scary. Whew, okay, I need a second here. I'm gonna need to blow my nose in no time. It's getting really stuffy again. And I will need to take a sip of my drink. Holy shit, this is a lot, dude. This is quite a lot. But I guess that makes sense. Meta's a gigantic company. So something like this kinda makes sense to me. But being able to do shit like this with no disclosure is also pretty insane. Are you goddamn course. Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna mute for a second to fix my shit. I will need to get more tissues later. I'm going through a bunch of them today. I don't think it got really that cold, but what do I know? Technocrats. And then they had the fucking audacity of bitching and moaning about Elon Musk. Holy shit, sure, you might disagree with the guy, but don't you think this is way worse? You're having a literal tech company pushing what they want as policy because they're buying a bunch of politicians. That's way bigger than whatever Elon ever did. Despite Elon actually working for the US government, which is kinda funny. The Dark Money Network. This Colorado lobbying runs through Headwaters Strategies by 338,500 USD since 2019. With monthly payments jumping from roughly 5,000 a month to 14 to 30,000 a month. Starting in July 2023, as state-level age verification bills accelerated. Headwaters co-founder Adam Eichberg, to on the nose, simultaneously serves as a registered metal lobbyist in Colorado, as chair of the board of the new venture fund, the flagship entity in the Arabella Advisors Network, 669 million revenue, and as founding board member of the Windward Fund, another Arabella entity, 311 million revenue. The Arabella network operates 4 entities from the same building at 1828 L Street, Northwest Washington, DC? Might be something else, it's NW. With combined annual revenue exceeding 1.3 billion. MVF transfers 121.3 million per year to the 1630 fund in 501c4 with no non-disclosure requirements. I passed the IRS Form 990 Schedule 1 filings across all 5 Arabella entities. That's 5,433 grants, totaling approximately 2 billion USD. I search for every child safety, age verification, and tech policy organization I could identify. 0 matches. The Schedule 1 grant pathway is definitively rolled out. When money flows through this network, it will have to travel via fiscal sponsorship, consulting fees, or non-grant payments, which are inherently less transparent. The Amber connection matters not because it provides a pipeline, but because the person receiving Meta's lobbying payments chairs the governance structure of the largest anonymous donor-funded advocacy network in US politics. Isn't this a huge issue? A massive conflict of interest? The structural overlap is documented regardless of whether money moves through it. The company that benefits. Holy shit, this is long. There's on Horizon OS. Oh, hey, I didn't know that. They have their own operating system. That's kind of funny. That's on Horizon OS, powering Quest VR headsets. Already has Metacant age verification, a Get Age category API, family-centered parental controls, Quest Store age ratings, and default minor account protections. I scored Horizon OS at 83% compliance readiness with these mandates. So they want to postulate themselves as the OS to be used. That's an insane move. It is smart. It is a smart move. But that is still an insane move. Holy shit, dude. That's crazy to me. Meta's not opposing these bills. In Colorado, I pulled lobby records from the Secretary of State's SODA API and found Meta's 4 registered lobbyists on the bill, listing a monitoring position. Not amending, not opposing. Watching. On every social media regulation bill in Colorado, Meta takes an amending position, actively fighting changes. Across 117 lobbying records and 22 bills. Being struggling in social media, Meta position is amending. Fighting. The one bill putting the boarding on OS providers, Meta position is monitoring. Watching. Meta fights bills that regulate Meta. Meta watches bills that regulate everyone else. I mean, of course. Control the politicians to do what you want for your company. Fight the rest. In California, Meta spent over $1 million in steel lobbying in the first 3 quarters of 2025 and publicly supported the bill, breaking ranks with its own trade associations, Technic and Chamber of Progress both opposed it. Meta supported the bill that creates surveillance infrastructure at the OS level, while leaving social media platforms untouched. So they can do whatever they want with their social media, and then they can sell you their OS, which is already spying. Holy shit, dude. This is just monkey business. And it's LD2 violence with the exclusive list. The App Store Accountability Act, that's a bunch of numbers, I don't know what it means. It's a lobbied bill. The final narrative includes protecting children, bullying prevention and online safety, youth safety and federal parental approval, youth restrictions on social media. In the same filing, Meta saw lobbies on Ghost and Copa 2.0, which would regulate Meta directly. Meta supports the bill that burdens its competitors, and levers to weaken the bill's burden itself. Both positions appear in the same quarterly disclosure. I was never a big fan of the Zuckerberg, but it's only getting worse. I can tell you as much. Holy moly. The privacy question. Well, privacy. I try to present findings here, not conclusions. But from a privacy standpoint, why does the company that profits from collecting user data draft legislation requiring every operating system to collect edge data and broadcast it to whoever installed the application via system-level API? It's also a good point. So, the OS API that tracks the information will send that to every single app, so Facebook and Instagram and all that can also get it that way. Because they don't have any regulations for the apps themselves. One of these bills mandate commercial verification vendors, Yoti, Verif, Jumio, whose business model is collecting biometric data, while the EU's equivalent uses open source zero knowledge proofs that reveal nothing beyond over 18. Why is there no data minimization requirement in any of these builds for the age verification data itself? Maybe 1043 creates a persistent age signal API, who governs what happens to the data flowing through it. What is Meta funding advocacy group with no legal existence in the IRS system to push legislation that creates a new data collection infrastructure at a layer below Meta's own products, while Meta faces certain new requirements? Why does the company whose lobbies drafted one of the bills ready to specifically exclude social media platforms from the age verification mandate? If the goal is child safety, why regulate the operating system, which has no direct contact with children, instead of social media platforms where the documented harm occurs? That's because they benefit from it. That's it. If they push the spills, Facebook is more free to keep collecting data. The OS is more free to keep collecting data, and Facebook is more free to keep collecting data from the OS with no control, and they can do whatever they want with that. Just sell it, use it for AI, whatever. That means more money for the company. That's all there is. More money, more power for the company. That's the end of it. It was never about the kids. It was always about control and data collection. How are you surprised with this? You shouldn't be. What you can do? Well, I don't think I can do jack shit, but maybe somebody else can. If you're in Colorado, Illinois, or New York, these bills are still in committee. Commenting the record, System 76 CEO met with the Colorado bill sponsor on March 9th, and the sponsor suggested excluding open source software. I mean, you can't really enforce it. The conversation is happening now. Contact the EFF, FSF, and Several Freedom Conservancy with the specific statutory language and compliance gap numbers. You need to know these definitions cover volunteer maintained software with no exemption. Read the actual bill text. I always say this. Always actually read the bills. I've done that before and I got to clown with a lot of people thanks to that. California bill is searchable on leginfo.legislature.ca.gov. Colorado bill is on leg.colorado.gov. Definitions are what matter, not the news summaries. If you maintain software that could be classified as an operating system provider under these definitions, start thinking about your response now. California bill takes effect January 1st, 2027. California bill takes effect July 1st, 2026. Holy shit, that's big. And they have some more stuff here. I don't know if this pertains to the same thing. They mentioned some stuff about root bottom from problem, which I don't know if that has anything to do with this. It has done this before. Okay, alright, sure. But I'm assuming this last part is also really important, right? What this means for this investigation: Meta spent 26.3 million USD on federal lobbying in 2025 and deployed 86 plus lobbyists across 45 states. It founded a nationally active advocacy group, the CA, with no legal assistance in the IRS system. It hired Hilltop Public Solutions to simultaneously run its 45 million super PAC and coordinate the CS messaging. It previously hired Targeted Victory to run a corporate destruction campaign against TikTok using child safety as the narrative frame. Sounds familiar. This investigation documents all of that with primary sources. A post containing those findings was most reported on Reddit within hours and suppressed site-wide by automated systems. You should also write a Twitter article for this, if you haven't, by the way. Whether the report for organic or coordinated, the outcome is the same. The content was removed from the platform where Meta has both the motive and the documented capability to suppress it. I guess that's why they were mentioning the bot networks on Reddit. The research is published in Git's repository with every source embedded. It does not depend on Reddit's infrastructure to survive, which is the great way to do things. GitHub owned by Microsoft. I mean, we have a reading archive, so I think we're okay. So, I guess all of this fucking age verification bullshit, at least in the US, comes directly from the fucking Zuckerberg. Because he wants less control of his company and more control everywhere else. Because, lo and behold, hey guys, I like money. Cool. Fucking cool. I hate politicians because they can just be bought. And there's nothing you can do about that. It's just paying. Paying and more fucking paying. I do think this is really believable. I think this one makes a lot of sense. And it's really fucking scary because what are you gonna do? But they can just buy every single vote for these bills. As we've seen here, they mentioned them at some point. No opposition. This is HB 570, I think that's California, if I'm not mistaken. No opposition in House, no opposition in Senate. People need to know. People need to know what's going on. I'm pretty sure the politicians don't give a flying fuck. But you should, because this affects you directly. Even if you're not in the US. Because they keep pushing these fucking laws. And if they push the laws, they will push these features. And when they push these features, it's already too late. Because no matter where you are, you're already suffering the consequences of fucking California law. That shouldn't be the case. But it is. There's also a different side to this coin, which I find to be somewhat interesting. This is also from today. It's extremely tinfoily, but it kinda makes sense. It goes in a completely different direction. But I guess two evils meet each other to become even bigger. Yeah, so basically the current prevailing schizo-internet theory is that AI nerds have destroyed the internet and created the infinite spam. It's not just AI. Bots were a problem before AI, to be fair. The advertisement goons are now incapable of determining who's a bot and who's an actual human. The advertisement goons no longer want to pay as much to the social media networks. Social media networks, in full-blown panic of losing potential revenue, decided to lobby government saying, we gotta protect the kids. I think everyone to protect the kids from pedophiles. Social media networks nowadays doesn't really protect kids. If anything, it's the opposite. But it does two things. And a third, accidentally. They can identify who is human, who is a slot machine, or enough to piece the advertisement goons. Advertising to children is a general no-no from politicians, or something. So with ID verification, they can say with confidence they're not advertising to children because it's being ID verified. Yeah, if you think they're not gonna get advertised, good luck with that. Basically, they can weed out the children and focus on advertising to adults. The fans can now tell who is human, who is a slab. This inadvertently helps them with tracking people and serving fresh daily with hours of propaganda, or whatever they want to do. It's a win-win-win for advertisers, social media networks, the government, in any business which does data collections. It fucks over everyone else. Chat, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's some good conspiracy schizo theory, and I unironically believe it. I don't think this is wrong. I mentioned something like this before, like how curious they have ID verifications just at the same time as the rise of AI slop and infinite bot works. So the purpose is there. Is that the case? I don't know. But if it makes sense, you just need to follow the money. And as we've seen, I think it kinda makes sense too. This could also be a ploy by Facebook company, by Zuckerberg, to fuck over the competition with these details and for him to reign supreme. It's really schizo over time, but I don't think it's wrong. What's this? There's a plugin for Chrome that will keep a tab open in the background, just doing random searches on Google, Bing, Facebook, etc. of gibberish. Only consumer products, medical conditions, demographic data, etc. Completely poison the ad data they were getting. Not only did they remove it from the App Store, they forcibly removed it from browsers that had it installed. Negated from Orbit. That's kinda funny. Holy Bible, what is this? Okay, we cannot... It's 4chan, it's too scary. I'd rather not. It's a little bit censored, but I just don't believe it. There's literally the plot of Metal Gear Solid 4, by the way. Memes! The DNA of the soul. I know that's rising. But still. I can only use the memes I know, okay? Holy shit. 11 years later, their legacy lingers on. Am I right, fellas? That's pretty bad. Well, there's no reason not to post all of these law BS. Let us be real. It's gonna be a detriment if you don't, actually. Oh. Yeah, my right shoulder's struggling a little bit. I had really powerful training session yesterday. I got new grip stuff. It was my birthday gift for my sister, and I think it's a little bit too tough at this point. So it's been punishing me a little bit. I lowered the grip reps for now until I get used to it. Pretty good stuff. What else do you have here? Speaking of AI, I guess this also makes sense. From Polymarket. Just think, Lost claims ChatGPT pretended to be a lawyer and persuaded the woman into firing her real attorney while citing fake case law. Yeah, you did that, Elon. You're also an AI mogul, so I don't know about that. Here we have a guy. Let me explain what just happened because I don't think people understand how insane this is. Woman asked ChatGPT for legal help. It told her to fire her real lawyer. She did. It wrote 40 plus court filings citing laws that don't exist, cases that never happened, judges that never ruled. Then Sand spent 300,000 USD responding to completely made up legal documents. AI hallucinated an entire legal career and nobody noticed for months. OpenAI is now being sued for 10 million USD. How is this the AI's fault? Why are you using AI as a legal counselor? You probably shouldn't. This is the same company that just signed a deal with the Pentagon. Yeah, that's a bit scary. They can't even stop their AI from faking court cases, but sure. Give it access to military intelligence. What could possibly go wrong? Speaking of that, I've been told something along those lines. I don't know how true that is, but I guess it makes sense. The Iranian bombings, there was like a school for how do you say this again? There was a female school, I think, or something like that, for younger kids. Apparently, it was only bombed because before, back in the day, there used to be a location of some sort of military base, and the AI said, "Oh, there was a military base here? Sure, Let's pound the shit out of them. That doesn't seem good. Hold up. Is that the power of AI? I'm not really impressed. I'm impressed in a negative way, if anything. I shouldn't be surprised. Am I really surprised? I'm never surprised. Omoshiroi. Omoshiroi. How about we go to talk about some strange happenings, some more strange happenings in real life, some more political bullshit. How about more oil license kind of deal? Holy shit, I couldn't believe this article when I saw it. Oh my god, it's so bright. It's a Green Party, so the Green Party is a big meme. But they're talking about this, so it could happen. Green Party would force Britons to hold license to keep dogs as pets. Shut the hell up. I have an outlook, stop it. Green Party would force Britons to hold license to keep dogs as pets should they win the next general election. Zach Polanski's party intends to push the measure on more than 13.5 million British dog owners. Policy documents on its website show. Dog licenses ranks in Britain in 1987, but pooches have been required to be microchipped since 2013. I guess that kind of makes sense. Either microchip or there are some tattoo techniques for the inside of the ears. That's what was used back in the day. Bruce will establish a 2-tier dog licensing system. Stop it with the 2 fucking tiers in the UK, I hate this. With different rules applying to those who breed the animals. Picture comment, holy shit, 282 comments. The policy plank is listed on the Green's website. It reads, the Green Party is opposed to the wholesale breeding, manipulation and destruction of those animals who are chosen as companions to the human race. Manipulation and destruction? Pal, you don't know anything of what you're talking about. I can tell as somebody that lived in a house where breeding was a commonplace. For dogs, I mean the dogs. They were treated really well, and those shits are fucking spending, man. It's expensive to take care of so many fucking dogs. And these people will never understand because they are just city dwellers. Oh, everything's just like Disney. You have no fucking clue, pal. Introduce measures to regulate the current conditions for such animals, including a 2-tier system of dog licensing, breeding and non-breeding. Breeding license, imagine that. First for dogs, when is it gonna come for humans? Licensing of all animal breeders and dog owners. Despite breeding and scrapping licenses almost 4 decades ago, it has kept requirements in place. Dog owners in the M-Line must pay a fee of £17 per year, or one lifetime sum of £120. It's kind of funny they didn't mention why they wanted to do this. It's not because of the breeding, manipulation, or destruction of those animals. It's because of the fucking Muslims. Muslims hate the dogs. So they want a dog-free society for the Muslims. I'd rather have a Muslim-free society for the dogs. They're more reliable. The Green Party, Looney Party, are just another party appeasing certain communities. What does that tell you? Ring alarm bells in my ears. You've only got to look at the stain the Labour Party are making of those countries. Counties, I presume. We get the whole lot worse with the Greens. We had lawyers in the past, it doesn't work. You will still get people without one who breathe from home, etc. Not enough police to enforce this either. Don't you dare have spicy memes, pal. We have enough police for that one. What about the Pakistani gang rapes? Or rape gangs? I don't know how you're supposed to say that anymore. Who cares about those? A few old dogs in the Green Party? Not wrong. You're not breeding and ownership needed stricter control. No, I mean, you think it's a rampant problem, but no. Not from what I'm saying, at least. Oh, there we go. This guy knows. Sure then. Well, I think it's the piece their own majority of voters who are Islamic and of Pakistani origin, as they actually want the ownership of dogs outlawed, as it's considered haram to them. They're considered to be dirty. I don't know. I've seen really clean dogs. The Algerians, as we used to know them before the Islamic takeover, were environmentalists, tree-hugging animal lovers, especially dogs and cats. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. I think that's a different issue. Holy shit. Why is the UK? At this point, it's the only thing I can ask. Why is the UK? What an insane fucking country, dude. Holy shit. And I'm supposed to believe these people were some sort of elite. It's not a good example when you look at the rest of Europe. Yeah, the usual big countries in Europe that are historically big and successful. Yeah, they're fucked, aren't they? Oh boy. Maybe the least fucked would be what? Italy? It's not great either. But still, pains me to see the UK. Pains me to see France. You don't see that in the news too much, but they are still as fucked. Germany, and nowadays is banking in with a fucking steel chair. Absolutely fucking awful. But wait, there is more. Another archive. I had to cover a lot of shit for today, sadly. Children's drawings could be blasphemous under Islamic law. Councils tell teachers. Don't you think that's a fucking problem? Why do you have Islamic law in the fucking UK, mate? Becoming a strange mix between British and Australian right now. Holy shit. Never been to any of those places. Where's my boomerang? Where's my kangaroo? Where's my warm beer? Better than tea, I guess. And no, I like it cold. Labour councils in northern England have issued guidance to schools that children's art could be seen as idolatrous and they must be flexible in classroom for religious difference. They must be flexible. You always have to be flexible with other people. You know what? Fuck other people. Get the fuck out of my country. This is not my country, but the point still stands. Holy shit, dude. They're so fucking obnoxious. But what about my religion? Get the fuck back to your country with your fucking religion. God damn it. The guidance was issued by local authorities in the north. It's designed to help teachers stay aware of religious sensitivities. But I want to offend. What's gonna happen? They're gonna attack me? They probably will, because they're savages. I'm not really scared. Was issued to local authorities, including Kirklees, which covers Badling Grammar School, which was the scene of protests in 2021. After a teacher showed an image of the Prophet Muhammad in class, the teacher remains in hiding more than 5 years on. Are you gonna tell me this is normal? This is... What was the guy's name? He was a French artist. This happened a long time ago. Was it Charlie Hebdo? I think it was Charlie Hebdo. Hold up, let me look that up. Charlie Hebdo. This was like 2011, something like that. No, looking for the guy. And Charlie, a moment. Yeah, 2011 was the first one. Charlie Hebdo has been the target of 3 terrorist attacks: 2011, 2015, and 2020. All of them were presumed to be in response to a number of cartoons that it published controversially depicting Muhammad. In the second of these attacks, 12 people were killed, including publishing director Charb and several other prominent cartoonists. In the aftermath, Charlie Hebdo, its publications, this is a magazine by the way, became internationally recognized as symbols of free speech, calling the Je suis Charlie. I am Charlie. Nothing has changed. God fucking damn it. I live in a fucking psyop of a world. I hate this. I am Charlie movement, which underscore the global defense of freedom of expression in opposition to censorship. you think that's normal? You made a funny drawing. Get bumped, you fucking idiot. How is that normal? Huh? There's no way you think it's normal. Then again, you have the likes of, what's his name again? Sadiq Khan? Suckamadik? Maybe? Current mayor of London, you think? Saying, well, you have to understand when you're living in a big city, having tourist attacks is something normal. Well, it shouldn't be. It's also kind of funny how these terrorist attacks always come from the same kind of groups, isn't it? A kind of document, Share the Journey, was reproduced in 2022 by councils in Leeds, Calderdale, Oldham, and Wakefield, and been reissued to teachers, seeing that some subjects, including art, dance, drama, music, physical education, religious education, and RHSE, I don't know what it is, could spark sensitivities for some Muslim parents. I don't give a fuck, pal. It's my country, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Once again, this is not actually my country, but still. The point still stays still. Why should I have to be these hordes that come from outside and they get insane grants from the governments? We're talking about between tens and hundreds of billions each year. Oh, the economy is fine. The economy is fine. Just kick those people and you fix the economy in less than 2 months. Holy fuck, dude. And you as a natural born, you get taxed into oblivion. You get fucked in the ass. And you better not complain, okay? What is this? A complaint? What, do you wanna die? Do you wanna suffer a terrorism? No. But it's gonna happen. Even if you act like a good boy, because they don't fucking care. This is our advice. It is very important that the school understands this and is also careful not to ask its students to reproduce images of Jesus, the Prophet Muhammad, or other figures considered to be prophets in Islam. Some Muslim peoples may not wish to draw the human figure. So because the peoples do not wish to draw the human figure, they can just reject the assignment? God fucking damn it. You try to get on yourself some sort of religious exemption, you're gonna end up in jail, I bet. Especially because this is the UK. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you think you can be Christian in the UK? What are you, a hateful bigot? I love to hate, what can you say? Sharing the journey, advanced schools on sensitivity and awareness around faiths and beliefs. No. I just reject. Teachers also warned that these lessons could cause parental concerns over physical contact between males and females, the Telegraph reports. Every single time, don't you see, it's impossible to coexist with those people. They have their own countries and they have to go back. And you had your own country, and you should protect your own country to some extent at least. Oh, physical contact between males and females. What are you, a raging homosexual? I don't think they are. Well, I don't know. I've seen some stuff about Muhammad. I'm questioning it. Apparently the guy took an inordinate amount of dicks at some point. Well, it's kind of funny. I guess that explains some of their practices. Their long dresses and how they love to go hand in hand with other guys. Council documents also say sensitivities may also arising on the faith groups, including Lenten fasting, Mormons avoiding stimulants such as tea and coffee, and dietary requirements of Jewish people or Rastafarians. Jehovah's Witnesses may wish to withdraw from music lessons and patriotic observances, while some Jewish people may not wish to create images of holy figures. This is not what religious freedom means. This is religious kowtowing, or kowtowing to several religions. Religious freedom should be at the individual level. This is not individual level, it's quite the opposite. So that's a big problem. Sensitivities, oh, the fasting. What about the fasting? I'm not forcing you to eat. Then again, you see these people fasting, quote unquote fasting, for the Ramadan. Oh, you cannot eat in front of me. It's so disrespectful. It's tempting. Is that the extent of your fucking faith? Is your faith so weak that me eating a fucking sandwich makes you question your faith? Weak and pathetic. And I have to respect your faith more than you do, by the way. What a bunch of fucking nonsense. Truly disgusting behavior. Holy shit, the UK is lost. Not only the UK, but also the UK. And yeah, it's just lost. At this point, it's just lost when you see an article like this. March 7th. This is not the kind of birthday present I wanted. Not a big fan of the UK, but come on. You're not helping your case. Flying an Union Jack flag is rather a tool of hate in government's leaked social cohesion strategy. How the fuck is that possible? It's the flag of the country. For everybody in the country. It should represent the country and its people. And you tell me it's a tool of hate? That means that either the country doesn't exist anymore, because how can you reconcile these two ideas? Or you're trying to destroy the country. I think that's pretty much it. I don't see many more possibilities here. I don't understand this complete disregard for national identity. Is the country perfect? No, but it should be. Following English, Scottish and Union Jack flags has been branded tools of hate in a late draft of the government's new social cohesion strategy. New social cohesion strategy. British people, you don't have a country anymore. It's official, the UK doesn't exist. Not as a country. It's just an economic song, I suppose. A late draft of the proposal suggests national symbols were sometimes used last summer to exclude or intimidate. That's a really strange recognition of what's going on. Used to exclude. Okay, if I fly the national flag and you don't feel included, maybe you shouldn't be in the country. That shows that you shouldn't be here. If you feel intimidated by the symbols of the nation, why are you here? And the worst question of all, why is the government kowtowing to you, of all people? Do you know that these people actually cost the government a lot of money? I keep saying that, and it's true. I know it to be true. And more that the extreme right has tried to turn symbols of pride into tools of hate. And you couldn't reclaim the fucking flag as this represents everybody. No, you discard it. Also, extreme right in Europe, I'm gonna laugh at you. The extreme right is at best, center right. Sometimes the extreme right just happens to be a moderate left wing. Fucking hilarious. The 47-page document also reportedly warns that anti-Semitism has become normalized in many corners of society. Some schools and universities to workplaces and the NHS. Look, I'm seeing an increasing sentiment of anti-Semitism, and I have to say that the Jews are not helping their case. Not saying it's their fault, but what they do is not really helping their case, especially given the current situation in the Middle East. Shocking revelations, I know. Truly shocking. I'm also shocked as Kaya. £700 million over 10 years would be put towards 40 areas where social cohesion is deemed to be under pressure under the proposals. The draft was leaked to the Spectator magazine, which reported that ministers will unveil the finalized plans titled Protecting What Matters in cross-government tribe next week. Protecting what matters. Not the British people, not the English people, not the country itself, but immigrants. That's what matters for the politicians. The fucking immigrants by their own admission. Get the fuck out of here. Government sources said the draft was a version which was never going to be published, and the words will not be used when the report is issued on Monday. Last summer, patriotic campaigners vowed to continue putting up England and Union Jack flags despite council workers ripping them down. Why would you rip them down? You're a fucking traitor to the country. You should be exiled. That's what I say. Trying to cover British towns and cities and national flags was being coordinated by an online movement called Operation Raise the Colors. I failed to see how that's a problem. Find the Union Jack full of hate? No, what? Come on. I'll be silly. Patriotic activists are using a Facebook page to help gather flags together, with members chipping in with offers of transport and equipment, such as ladders. Oh, the ladders of hate! And time the Prime Minister banned the public trying to fly St. George's flags, the government document appears to link it to rising tensions over immigration and protests by the far right. Shit, man, I wonder. I wonder what the proper solution could be here. I wonder. Fuck out. It's fucking Daily Mail. So fucking annoying all the time. Reforming against deputy leader Richard Tice, or Tice? T.I.'s, told the Sun. I'm sorry, the sense our national flag is still a pain just to intimidate. The whole paper is the divisive nonsense that should be consigned to the bin. The proposal also suggests a special representative role will be introduced to champion efforts across the UK to tackle hostility and hatred directed at Muslims and those perceived to be Muslim. What about the rape gangs? What about that one? Are you gonna fix those? No? Nah. They have the correct votes. That'd be bad. And in oh, for crying out loud. A new definition, of course, of Islamophobia is also suspected to be said. And as part of the guy, there's an anti-Muslim hatred. It's not hatred, it's self-preservation. Critics have argued the move could act as a backdoor blasphemy law and limit free speech. Free speech in the UK? Pal, do you live under a rock? You don't have free speech, and you haven't had free speech in a long fucking time. But you can get into jail for fucking memes and criticism of rapists, but the rapists get scot-free. That's not an actual country. That's a monkey show. Not a good monkey show, either. Now the government has said its focus is on protecting people from unacceptable treatment. Unacceptable treatment. What about the rape gangs, though? Ministry of Housing, Communities, and local government spokesman said, "We do not comment on leaks." Yeah. You better not. Shadow Committee's Secretary Sir James Cleverly said the proposal for anti-Muslim hostility, SARC, was having a chilling effect. He accused Labour of pandering to sectarianism, I guess it's not the same, after losing the previous rock-solid seat of Gorton and Denton, Chasey Denton, in Greater Manchester to the Greens in a parliamentary by-election last month. The Tory frontbencher said, "The Conservatives stand against such divisive tactics." Thank you. There's a bit of a meme too, sadly. Skimmy Badenoch said this week, "Identity politics is a dead end and our country is headed down a dark road. If it falls on sectional interest rather than shared values and freedoms." Anti-Muslim hatred is real, but we should tackle it with the existing laws we have for that exact purpose, without undermining free expression. Anti-Muslim hatred is real. Do you think there may be a reason for that? Do you think it may be perhaps justified? Do you think it may be, I don't know, people being fucking tired of the constant stabbings? It's being a huge fucking problem for what? 15 years at this point? Don't you think having a fucking rape every, what was it? 54 minutes, 58 minutes in London is a massive stat? I don't think that is good, pal. I don't think that's good. And lo and behold, it's usually because the same people every single fucking time. I wonder why. I wonder why. You think they're just like you, but they're not. At the end of the day, they just want the votes. Here's the Gibbs. The UK has lost, quite literally. Oh, boys and girls, when your government is telling you your national symbols are tools of hate, stand to find a new government. This liberal promotes compassion. Not wrong. The Palestinian flag seems to be okay then. Seems to be the case. That's the point of the whole strategy. 800 million pounds towards social cohesion, so not the cohesion, but the allocation of money for nothing, only to be stolen. Or to put more immigrants into the country for no reason whatsoever. What a fucking disaster of a country, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. The worst part of all is that people keep voting for these absolute fucking lunatics. Democracy was a mistake. Quote me on that one, if you wish. Okay. Do we go for the next two, or do we do just only one? Are they longer? Maybe we can do it. Maybe we can do it. Yeah, the second one is not long. It's more archive stuff. Please understand. So, more society. What about becoming a dad? Well, it's kind of difficult nowadays, isn't it? And not just because of the current economics. They don't help, but it's not the only problem. The surprising gender gap at the heart of America's baby bust. You can see the men want kids. Yes, and women have questions. No, there are... Maybe I shouldn't say it like that, but... There's a lot of whores. And not the funny Uma ones. As part of the alliance and demographic groups, young men are eager to be dads. There's a surprising conclusion that Anna North, in Vox College, uncovered when she dove into the data to find out young people's views about forming families. Death rates are being in free fall, and talk for demographic crisis has increasingly fueled the discourse. In much of that commentary, the brunt of the blame has been directed at the young people, who probably are interested in settling down, but the truth, according to Anna, is more complex. If you convince women, especially young women, that being a horse is good and empowering, and they should go out to realize themselves by working, you find the economy, and you find human relations. Oh! What a concept, I know. You also have these positivity moments. Oh, please, but all humans are queens and most are kings. Please understand, I'm ESL. I've been yapping for 3 hours, so I'm gonna struggle a little bit more. You don't understand what their proper match will be, and what they have to bring to the table to an actual relationship. Once again, they're just pushing for narcissism, which I don't think it's a good idea. It's only getting worse with AI, by the way. Yes, intelligent man expressing interest in procreating, just found something else that was surprising. There's a real gender gap between young men and young women, with young women showing greater hesitation for the prospect of having kids. They're also being propagandized. Oh, this is what happens to your body when you have kids. Do you know that having kids is normal? It's a long-standing tradition in your family. Hey, that's pretty cool. Unless you're a lab mate and you're playing Doom in your brain. But I guess you won't see a lot of those. It's fine, you will be okay. If you wait a long time to have kids, it's gonna be worse. But I get to understand why people wait. Things are more complex nowadays. It's a fascinating divide that could be hugely consequential. So I asked Anna to come join me on Friday, on the Friday edition of The Grey Area, to explain what she found in her reporting. As always, there's much more in the full podcast, which drops every Monday and Friday. So listen to and follow us on Apple MMM now. What are you looking for when you started reporting in this piece on how Gen Z men and women are thinking about parenthood and how differently they are thinking about it? I thought it's really interesting both of young voters, Gen Z voters, and look at the male Trump voters, male Harris voters, female Trump voters, and female Harris voters, and ask them to rank. What are the things you think are important in a good life? The male Trump voters actually rated having children as number 1 among 12 or 13 different options. Nobody else had it up that high. Not any of the women, no matter how they voted, and not male Harris voters either. You look across polls, overwhelmingly, you'll see young men more excited, more enthusiastic about having children, one day than young women. I could think of a lot of possible reasons why that might be, but I want to dig into it a little bit. I have the numbers here, and I want to butcher it. This from your piece on 23 people. 57% of men between 18 and 34 said they want to have kids one day. And only 45% of women said that. It was a little surprising to me. Maybe it shouldn't be. I'm just in the current state of affairs. It's not strange when you see the propaganda. When you have also, oh, but having kids is evil. Having kids is bad for the environment. You shouldn't have kids. Let's import infinite immigrants. What? Hold up. Huh? I think I missed something. No, you didn't miss anything. That literally happened. Maybe not that fast, but that literally happened. I was kind of surprised by that, I should say. I thought it was a pretty big gap, especially given that the narrative that I think we had heard about young Gen Z people generally over the last couple of years is this is a generation that doesn't want kids. It's not the generation that doesn't want kids, it's a generation that's completely fucked if it tries to have kids. I mentioned before today that the dating thing is kind of fucked nowadays. It's way worse for younger people, and I don't know if it's gonna get better. In some groups, it's always gonna get worse, because they have this positive feedback of negative traits. Also AI pushing for more narcissistic people. But I do think, to some extent, some of the younger generations that go more to the trad life can cluster together to some extent. I don't know if that will happen, but it'd be good for them, I think. This generation doesn't want to get married. There's a generation that's really worried about the future and feeling really alienated and doesn't want to take the steps forward toward conventional family. And so I thought it was interesting that the same numbers of Gen Z men were saying, no, actually, we don't want kids. There are always caveats, right? Oh, how many horror stories are we seeing about, oh, this guy actually raped me? But it was not real, but the guy is completely fucked forever. Or divorce cases where, she took the kids, she took the home, and she took half of my money. It's really rough, man, it's really rough. Just push yourself a lot. I'm saying that you should not try to attempt to get the life that you want, but there's a lot of very pointy rocks in the path, so I get why people are hesitant. Once again, current economy, gigafucked, way worse than 20 years ago for sure. I was thinking, what's 20 years ago? 2008? No, I can still say 20 years. So it's very difficult. There's a very big dividing in younger generations. Getting back into this historical polling is a little wonky. There's some evidence that women without children for a long time have had a little bit more trepidation than men without children. And part of that's for reasons that make sense. They know that their careers could take a hit. They've all read those articles about the motherhood penalty. They know that they will probably have to give birth, which meant they have to do. What a strange line to read. It's so obvious that what you had to say, right? And deal with physical recovery and deal with all of the stereotyping and stigmatizing that comes with having a female body that becomes a mother in the world, in this world. It's really funny how they say stereotyping and stigmatizing, because this is usually used in some sort of weapon to be like, yeah, this is because the evil man. Nah, it's usually other women that tear apart the women themselves. Women competition is fucking wild. There's also another big problem, right? Their careers. I'm not saying you cannot have a career if you're a woman. At the end of the day, I just don't give a fuck. But you have been pushed into that direction. And since there's a lot more people working now than, let's say, in the 60s, more people is a percentage of the population, I mean, because you have more women working. Now the economy is pushing you towards both sides of the couple working to maintain themselves and have a home, some sort of home, maybe a small house if you're lucky, I guess, depending on the place, or just an apartment. So adding a kid on top of that becomes exceedingly difficult in most cases. It's not weird that young women might have more anxieties, but I think that what was striking to me was the size of the gap and really the size of the enthusiasm of men of a generation that were expressing this pretty conventional social aspiration to have a family. Once again, having kids is normal. Especially when you see the current state of the world, people are stupid. What are you gonna do? Well, maybe you should make your own people. It sounds a little bit depressing, but I mean, it's been happening in your family for all humankind until now. It's not surprising. I'm just saying it in a strange way. How do you explain their increased interest? Why are Gen Z men increasingly fired up about being a dad? What are they telling you? They got a certain sense of that where one of them just talked about his friends who are male, and think of this as something they're going to do one day. They think of it as like a capstone, just a really important part of a full life, and something that they assume they're going to do. When you want to be 80 and being completely alone with no family? That sounds really scary. I'm gonna be real, that sounds really scary. What would you say are the primary reasons you get from women? Are you seeing the data from Gen Z women but they are hesitant? Well, one expert explained it to me. It's never been more costly for women to have a child. More costly for women? I think it's just in general. That doesn't mean it's harder than ever to be a man. It means that women, many women, most women in the US, the most women in the US. She keeps repeating women, feels a little bit propagandistic. Probably have more options than they ever had. Women's salaries are still on parity with men's. Fucking bullshit, and you know it, woman. I'm sick of the fucking wage gap. It's not a wage gap, it's an earnings gap. Because women usually get into jobs that pay less, or they work less hours. Ask me how I fucking know. But they're harder than they have ever been. Women's educational attainment is really high. There's a sense that there is an increasing social sense that women can live a full life without becoming mothers. And that's fine. Until biology hits you like a fucking truck. Well, depends the kind of meds you use, I suppose. It's a complex situation. And there's a lot more acceptance for it. Because women used to just really not have that many options for their lives. Now they have lots. And they're just giving some of that up. Yeah, I don't think the options they're getting into are necessarily better. When you have a child, you know, it's documented that you're giving up some salary, you're giving up some time. You're giving up a lot of time. Not saying that's something bad, but it's the reality. And then too, I think you'll hear from young women disconcerted that their partners are not going to pull their weight. I get into this in the piece that we have seen real shifts in terms of how much childcare men do. But it's not 50-50, and women know that. Not everything needs to be 50-50 either, to be fair. It's not a marriage is not a democracy necessarily, right? Not everything has to be 50-50, and that's absolutely fine, absolutely okay, nothing wrong with that. It's more of an issue of doing enough on both sides. Are you two people doing enough? Yeah, probably are doing enough, and that's fine. But you cannot expect 50-50. Especially when we're talking about something so biological as having a kid. The women have superpowers for raising kids. You know that? It's absolutely insane. They have a special hearing for the frequencies that babies use. They see more colors than men, which is really useful to check skin, food, stool, everything, and try to check early possible hints of sickness. That's crazy. That is crazy. And let's be real, men are usually not that good at this. But that doesn't mean they're not going to pull their weight. They can do that in different aspects of daily life with the baby, but it's not enough because you didn't change enough diapers. Oh, for crying out loud! Who's bringing the money? Right? That's the most traditional way of looking at it. That's also the case of many men being completely fucked in economy sense. So they actually bring less to the experience. I don't think it's necessarily their fault. Society has been fucking with them for a long time. Spoiler for the last article for today, by the way. I think a lot of women also know that they are going to end up, you know, contributing economically at least 50%, if not more than 50%. So I think there's a world that they are going to be doing more than half on the home front. They're going to be doing at least half, if not more than half, career-wise. And so I think that can start to seem like a bad deal too. A strange admission of what I was literally saying. They are going to end up, you know, contributing economically at least 50%. Why is the sex that has to gestate the kid contributing more economic-wise? That's not an advantage. That's a huge disadvantage. Men were the breadwinners, not because, oh, the patriarchy, the men, they're so powerful, they're so smart. I mean, they're, of course, better at some jobs. I think that's a pretty obvious thing to say. But because it's an evolutionary advantage. That's why women are caretakers, because men went hunting. Men went hunting because A, they're stronger, and 2, because they're quote-unquote more disposable in that regard. And that stayed the same for the longest time in human society. It's way better if the man, which is the sex that doesn't have the baby inside and has to use their own body to take care of the baby, is the one that gets the resources, because you're sharing different types of work. You have the woman taking care of the kids traditionally, which is more prepared to do so because it's the woman that gets pregnant, and for everything else you have the guy, and that's fine. But now you want the women to do everything and the men to do nothing. But then you get mad when the men don't do anything. What the fuck do you want? It's impossible to win like this. Don't you think that's an impossibility? It drives me nuts. And I'm not saying anything about, oh, women should be paid less. No, I'm saying you need to understand your biological roles. Because you're alive, and since you're alive, you have to understand that you're beholden to your biology. Despite the people groaning and moaning about it. You're still a flashback, sorry to tell you this. The thing that surprised me the most that it would appear with Gen Z men in particular, the trend towards more of a preference for traditional division of labor. This idea that to be a man means to be the breadwinner. Because it's useful. It's an evolutionary advantage. I don't know how many times I can say this until I go insane, but I think that point is coming. I'm going insane! I think it's of a piece with some polling and data that we see from Gen Z men, just like expressing a variety of traditionalist gender ideas. I talked to a guy who does a lot of polling with Gen Z, and he did say that when he polls young men, they really associate masculinity with being a provider, more so than any other characteristics. But I also think that we are seeing other moves in the opposite direction. If you just play this out a little bit, it seems like this is going to be a problem, with young men and young women going different directions, wanting different things, having competing visions of what it means to be a dad or a mom. And of course, politically, young men are moving to the right, and women are moving more to the left. As they're going to play out. See, that's the problem. It's not that they want different things. That's actually the issue. It's that they are pushed to want the same things. If you're a woman, you can be a mother, but chances are you're not gonna be a dad. Unless you're a lesbian, I suppose. But even that has some troubles that I have seen. But that's not because of society, because these people are blaming the society. No, that's a biological mandate. If you're a woman and you have kids, you're gonna be the mother. Because that's how biology works. And that's fine. The problem is when you push women to be like men, they might be able to act like men to some extent, but the men cannot act like women. Because not having kids, it's easy as a woman, but a man having kids, like actually getting pregnant, it's impossible. You see what I'm trying to get at? I think it's really obvious and I shouldn't explain it. But then again, with the kind of shit they're saying, we need to understand where all of these problems come from. And that's not understanding that the flashbacks are still flashbacks and they're beholden to their flashbagginess, I suppose. Genetics, biology, all that. You know, it's definitely something that I think we're seeing a lot of data, and something we talk about a lot. Something that, like, has real implications politically for elections. Has implications for families, but I think the bottom line for me, just from all my reporting about families and childbearing, and all this kind of stuff, there are lots of ways that we could make it easier as a country for people to have the families that they want. Nice sentiment, I don't know if it's actually that easy. Two things, like paid leave or affordable childcare, if you're worried about all these men who really want kids and women are not so sure. One way to address that worry is to support the women. Anything that ends up helping everybody across the board. Everything is just to support the women. How about you stop lying to the women? Because let us be real, I do think it's true that women have been shamed for a long time for wanting to be mothers, or for wanting to be homemakers, as they also call it. Let's say a traditional wife, if you prefer that kind of terminology. Well, in theory, according to their ideas, that should be okay too. But it's saying as, oh no, you need to be more reivindicative. You need to be an activist. Well, how about some women that don't give a fuck? Because some don't. I don't know, man. I think that's pretty obvious. Different people like different things. It's not a case of all the men like the same things and all the women like the same things. When you give people the freedom to choose, but then you tell them, you have the freedom to choose, but those choices are bad, is it actually freedom to choose? Democracy is my city. Is there a world where women are able to have children without paying the professional price they had to pay? There was a world, not so much anymore. Sure, I mean, there's plenty of country for the wage gap. Where's the alarm? Where's the alarm? Where's the bottom? I need one of those two. I'm gonna be the new shoe head at this rate. I'm far more range. It's never gonna work. You know, generally, what people talk about, again, is things like paid leave and affordable accessible childcare. In countries where women take really long leaves, like a year or longer, you tend to see the disparity career-wise and wage-wise. Yes, but once again, that's also born from biological differences. If, let's say, I own a company with 300 people, and I need to hire somebody for an engineer job. If I get the candidates with pretty much the same curriculum, but one is a man and the other one is a woman, the government is gonna fuck me in the ass if I don't pick the woman, despite that being actually a detriment. Because the woman always has the problem of getting pregnant. And sure, getting pregnant is good, I can say that at an individual level, but that's not useful for me running the company. I'd rather have the guy, because the guy is probably gonna just keep working. The guy's not gonna get pregnant. It'd be really strange if it happened. I guess nowadays you never know, right? With his strange advances in technology. And of course, that's just a biological reality. It's not social oppression or anything like that. It's born from a pragmatic point of view, right? Would you want to send women to war? Well, they're usually weaker, but if you're being pragmatic, women shouldn't go to war in general because they can make baby. Especially if you want to war, you need to keep making baby to have a proper flow of creating more population. This has been said, I don't know, since ancient Greek, I bet. Ancient Greece. Most of the shit I spout here has been tried and proven for thousands of years, okay? Not that old, but it could be. In countries where women can pretty easily take 6 months and they have access to good childcare options that are affordable, you see better parity. It is possible. It's not pie in the sky. What about the tooth in the sky? Good song, by the way. Another thing that the experts pointed me to is Scandinavian countries that have introduced maternity leave that has sort of use it or lose it. Family has X number of weeks of leave, Y number of weeks can be used only by the dad. So if the dad doesn't use that, then you don't get it. That really incentivizes men to take that time as being a big driver of social change in the countries that's been tried. I think that's actually a big problem. It's something I have seen too. I'm not saying that I'm against paternal leave, but it's too excessive. In some countries, several months. And I can be like, okay, sure. Paternal leave, especially just around the birth, really important. The woman's probably gonna be exhausted. She will need a bunch of help, especially at home. But when the kid is like 1 month already and you start to get into the rhythm of things, you don't need to stay at home for like 4 months, dude. It's fine. You probably want to go back to work to get more resources. But in some countries, you cannot even do that. That's quite insane to me. It's a strange situation when apparently they're trying to help you, or they say they're trying to help you, but you're fucked. If they do, you're fucked if they don't, apparently. It's really strange. I don't know. I just don't know, man. It's really, really weird. And of course, this shit is only getting worse, economic-wise. When you have shit like this, white males will have fewer board seats in future, says UK Diversity Chair. Hey, they tell me this wasn't happening. They tell me this was a conspiracy theory. You know what happens with conspiracy theories? They're just spoilers. Yeah, the Parker Review says changing social demographics will boost ethnic diversity in top-tier business. How is that important? Why do you care about ethnic diversity? I don't really care, especially if you force it. The chair of a reporting ethnic diversity in the top ranks of British companies has said it will be natural for white males to have fewer board seats in the future due to the UK's changing social demographics. Hey, come on, pal. I know Keir Starmer said this, I know Hillary Clinton said this, but if you say this, they're gonna call you a Nazi. Because, it's because of the Jews. I don't know if it's the Jews or not, I don't really care. I care that this is happening. And the government's pushing for it. I kinda like my people. I prefer my people to other people. I guess that's more accurate. David Tyler, chair of the Parker Review, told the FT, is it this thing? Financial Times, correct, that when white middle-aged men complained that diversity targets were the reason they missed out on jobs, it was because people need a reason for not to being hired. No, it's because the government gives you money if you hire people that are quote-unquote minorities. It's been happening for a long time, by the way. It's been happening for a long time, by the way. Longer than you think, probably. Still remains that the great majority are white men in both rooms, he added. Taylor, who's the chair of PZ Cuisines, sounds like a Expedition 33 weapon, holy shit. And domestic in general said that it shouldn't be a surprise for white men to have a lower proportion of seats. It will gradually happen along with the gradual change in society, in 6 of our population, is from ethnic minorities, that's also set to increase gradually. Horror stories. Yeah, don't you think that's bad? And you think that's kind of bad? You don't care because you're old and you're gonna die anyway. And you already have your money. The duration you feel when you see shit like this, man. There are more women working than ever before, and more ethnic minorities also reaching senior positions. Yes, it's not organic. And this also fucks the economy. Which in turn fucks everybody. Except from the 1%, I guess. The guys by the former chair of supermarket chain Sainsbury's and shopping center business Hammerson come alongside the annual publications of the Parker Review, which uses minorities and diversity interchangeably. Asian executives from ethnic minorities now held the record 20% of FTSE 100 board positions and 16% of FTSE 250 board positions. For FTSE 100 companies, this compared with 12% in 2019. This is actually really bad, because unlike you, these ethnic minorities will keep hiring people that just look like them, even though they're completely useless. Yes, this is about Indians, and this is about tech companies. It will keep happening, and these companies will keep getting worse. Look, they laid off a lot of people in Microsoft. I think it was Microsoft. Now that they have some sort of higher up that was an Indian guy, they're moving to India, and they're hiring Indians. Sure, that's a good idea. I'm not gonna redeem the products. In 2025, there were 14 chief executives of FTSE 100 companies with ethnic minority backgrounds, the highest number on record, as well as 8 chairs and 9 chief finance officers. This is kinda funny because I've been complaining a lot recently about how everything is just fuck. Everything is just completely useless. Tech-wise or non-tech-wise. You have an inordinate amount of useless people working. I wonder if these two are related. I asked, with a lot of sarcasm. Boss at Barclays, Shell, Smith and Nephew, Person, Unilever, Sparks Group, Hiscox, Airtel Africa, that one makes sense, right? Intercontinental Holders Group, Prudential, HSBC, Hikma Balls, and British American Tobacco accounted for the minority chief executives in 2025. DHGO? Not sure if this is from Geographics. What's included in the data, which company self-report as Nick Jangiani held the interim CEO role for 4 months before Sir Dave Lewis was named as a permanent replacement. There are no female chief executives of FTSE 100 companies or from an ethnic minority group. Who the fuck cares? Shouldn't you want to have people that are actually useful? Keep asking that while I know the answers. They actually don't. They want the population to be retarded, so they can be manipulated. Little do they know that these retards are extremely violent in general. I think it's gonna have the effect you think it will. It will probably be dead by that point, so I guess you don't care either. Average ethnic minority representation in UK-based senior management roles last year was 11% across the FTSE 100 and 10% in both the FTSE 250 and large private companies. Blue chip companies have set a target of increasing that to 15% by 2027. Why? Why do you have to increase the amount of ethnic minorities in positions like a CEO? Who the fuck cares? What is the strange fetishism? And then they will tell me, oh, you cannot talk about that. What are you saying, man? Are you, man? Are you gonna redeem? I'm not gonna redeem. But by the wrong admission. This is clearly a change in population on purpose. They're forcing this. And I'm sick of it. They have their own countries already. I have my own country, but I'm losing it day by day. Don't you think that's a big problem for me? But then again, I may be too white for you to care. When I say you, I mean the elites, of course. And FTSE 200 groups aim to increase the level to 13% in the same period. Within the FTSE 100, British Land and Pershing Square Holdings failed to meet the targets for having one ethnic minority director. British Land appointed Raj Shah in October, but he joined the business in January, outside the reporting period. Within senior management, women represent 42% of ethnic minority senior managers in the FTSE 100, 41% in the FTSE 250, and 40% in large private companies. Kinda be real. Women bosses I have seen, not great bosses. They do not have the skills or the natural capabilities to do so. I'm sorry. Some might, but I don't think it's that common. The report has to suggest that further progress will be needed to strengthen the pipeline into the more senior leadership positions. Why is that important? They will tell you, because of different views. Why are you so extremely racist and sexist? So they have different views because they are black? They have different views because they are women? That sounds really strange to me. Then again, you will never be as racist as an anti-racist. They just pose as anti-racists. Of course, they are the worst racist of all. But they also hate you. The Barker Review was commissioned by the government in 2015 to address the lack of ethnic diversity on new keyboards. That said, he strongly didn't agree with quotas, diverse diversity in boardrooms, and that candidates did not want them. It is hard to persuade yourself. We're not just there because of quota, he added. He said more should be done to remove barriers preventing people from ethnically diverse backgrounds reaching the top of boardrooms, particularly in the black community, where progress was slow relative to the ethnic minority groups. Nobody's impeding people from reaching those positions because they're black. You reach those positions when you're skilled enough. So, in a way, I guess they're saying that those people might not be skilled enough. What a surprise. Holy shit, it's so late. We could go late today, so I guess that's fine. We knew this was gonna be longer, because we had more days for news. I'm dying. I need to go back to the mines. I need to go back to the editing mines, man. This is awful. There's a lot of shit I need to edit still. Anyway, this was a really strange day, I guess. I got more political than I expected. I don't think that's bad. Just an observation. Anyway, plan for next week. Monday, we're gonna be playing Grumble Fantasy on the Steam client. I was planning to making a video on that, so I'm gonna be using the stream for that. I also kinda want to play. Making a mistake. I don't want to play. I kinda get obsessed by that game again. Kinda lose another 7 years or 8 years and something like that. It's gonna be too bad. Wednesday, we finish Expedition 33. I still need to grind some more, but I think we're doing great. I went into Renar's drafts. Holy shit, dude, I cannot defeat the merchant. He is so fucking powerful. They have so much HP, it's not fair. So I couldn't buy the Sea Elf's weapon. I managed to defeat Golgro with Mogoko, so I got that weapon, which is nice. I will keep getting more levels, and I will try to get some more Pictos if I can. Thursday! I actually don't know. I have nothing prepared as of this point in time. I'm thinking we might be playing a short ROM hack of some kind. There are some for Castlevania games, so that could be the case. There is... I guess I can look that up. I don't want to play anything that's really difficult, because they buff the enemies, and then they have the bad idea of also nerfing you. I'm like, holy shit, pal, I'm dying to hits! I don't like this! It's too much for me. It was Dawn of Sorrow, I believe. I'm looking up on ROM hacking. Is there no Eternity of Sorrow? Hold up. Pokemon ROM hacking sequel to the bad ending of Dawn of Sorrow. Oh, I seen this. Could be okay. You're meant to play as Demon Lord Soma after dying, trying to go back to the world of the living. It's very recommended, so it could be okay. It could be the game. We'll see. There is... It's not really that old, I don't think it was. Pretty sure it was Dawn of Sorrow. Galactic Panic? Oh, Meta Knight. No. I wanna play Julius mode again. It can be fun though. It can be pretty fun. Triangular scores. I mean, they also add Grand, I think. So that's pretty cool, but... Yeah, I don't think you want to. Oh, I swear it was here somewhere. Is it actually that old? Albus mode. Albus is a cool guy. Where's Julius mode? Didn't we play this one already? Don't think we did. We play with Link already. That was a really cool mod. For sure, we played with Goku. There was one, there was a mod of summer mode, but you played with Zero, if I'm not mistaken. That's really interesting. You get like additional weapons too. Pretty cool. Ejivania, no. Edward Elric, that could be funny. So Donald Neku. Cloud Strife, Wild Mage, and Black Mage. This is 2022. There's no way it's that old, right? It's not here. Demon. The Definitive Edition Plus. Zidagus and Omega. Is it this one? No, this is Julius mode. Maybe it's not in ROM hacking anymore. That's wild to me. Is it Maverick Hunters? Nah, this is also Julius mode. Slot 2 patch? No, that's for the additional stuff you can get. Dragon Blood Stain, Curse of the Moon. Nah, this is still Julius mode. Was that ROM hacks.org? I think so. Let me check here. Platform, Nintendo, DS. What if Albums wasn't them? I don't know about that one. I don't see it either. Was it? Oh, it had a different name. It was Rock and Chiruit, right? Yes, it's this one. October 2023. It's Soma and Julius mod hack. Both. More command taken Dinosaur's story. But you got and Chiruit from Mega Man ZX. This adventure is made for fans of Mega Man and Castlevania. Fully modified server for both Model Z mode and Unarmored mode. 55 grand no weapons, one exclusive to Unarmored. And 60 rounds of vanilla weapons. 3 other results, 3 more in Unarmored mode. Along with 1 new special item. Imported for Hammer, the Blood Merchant. References for Mega Man Zero, X-Dive and more. Basic inputs from Mega Man Zero 1 to 4 in ZX. That could be interesting. We haven't really played Mega Man on stream. I haven't played ZX in a long time. I was pretty decent at the game. At some point. I could play the shit. I'll probably be finishing that in like 2 streams. So that could be good. And of course, more yapping next Saturday. Oh boy, oh boy. I need to edit a lot. I need to edit a lot. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I hope you had some fun. We had a very extensive yapping session today. Almost 4 hours. What the fuck is wrong with me? I've been streaming longer and longer than usual. Some people would be happy a bit. And we're coming back on Monday. Trying, from scratch, Grand Blue Fantasy on the Steam client. And then, you know the rules. Man, fuck these people. I hate reading this fucking news all the time. It feels depressing. So I understand why people kinda hate that, but I think it's important to understand what's going on with the world. If you don't know the problems, how are you gonna fix them? Can I fix them alone? No. But I would like to fix more stuff if I could. And take care.